Persons attempting to find a motive in this story will be prosecuted. Persons attempting to find a moral in it will be banished. Persons attempting to find a plot in it will be shot. By order of the author.
You don't know about me unless you read a book by the name of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. That was a book made by Mr. Mark Twain, and he told the truth, mainly. There was things which he stretched, but mainly he told the truth. I never seen anybody but lied one time or t'other, unless it was Miss Watson, or maybe the Widow Douglas. The widow, she's the one who took me for her son, and vowed she'd civilize me. Boy, it was rough, living in the house all the time and wearing those starchy clothes and being decent and regular. So I ran away. But then Tom Sawyer, he hunted me up and said he was going to start a band of robbers, and I might join if I'd go back to the widow's and be respectable. So I went back.
Come to supper, Huckleberry. Now, Miss Watson, you sit there. Oh, Huckleberry, you look very nice in those new clothes.
I can't do nothing but sweat and feel all cramped up.
Oh, don't say sweat, Huckleberry. Perspire if you must, but don't sweat.
Oh.
Now fold your arms while the food is blessed.
Why, it don't look like there's anything the matter with it.
That's an awful thing to say, Huckleberry. Why can't you behave? And don't scrunch up like that, Huckleberry.
You'd know, Miss Watson, he's been trying to be a good boy, but it's so difficult for him.
Well, if he doesn't behave, he's going to the bad place someday. You'll remember that, Huckleberry.
Well, I wish I was there now.
Huckleberry, well, that's a wicked thing to say. Why, I wouldn't say that for the whole world. No, I'm going to live in the good place.
Do you think Tom Sawyer will go to the good place?
Oh, not by a considerable sight.
Well, I'm glad about that, 'cause I want him and me to be together.
Huckleberry.
With Miss Watson pecking at me and scolding me all the time, I got to feeling pretty uncomfortable and lonesome, too. After supper, I went up to my room with a piece of candle and put it on the table. The stars were shining, and the leaves rustled in the woods, ever so mournful. And I heard an owl way off, woo-wooing about somebody that was dead. And a whippoorwill, and a dog crying about somebody that was gonna die. And it made the cold shivers run over me. Well, after a long time, I heard the clock way off in the town go boom, boom, boom. 12 licks, and all still again, stiller than ever. Pretty soon, I heard a twig snap. Down in the dark amongst the trees, something was a-stirring. I sat still and listened. I put out the candle and scrambled out the window onto the shed. Then I slipped down to the ground and crawled in among the trees. And sure enough, there was Tom Sawyer waiting for me.
Come on, Huck. I've called a meeting of a robber gang.
Good. How many's in the gang, Tom?
7, if Jimmy Barnes don't go home.
What's the meeting about, Tom?
Well, everybody that wants to join has got to take an oath and write his name in blood.
So, Tom and me sneaked down to the old hut by the river, where the rest of the gang was to meet us. And pretty soon, everybody was there. All of us took the oath, and it was a real beautiful oath, too. And Tom said it showed we was a high-toned gang of robbers.
Now there's something else we gotta do. Everybody in the gang has got to promise to sell his family as slaves if he ever tells the gang's secret.
Huh. Well, here's Huck Finn. He ain't got no family. What you gonna do about him, huh?
Well, he's got a father, hasn't he?
Yeah, he got a father. But you can't ever find him these days.
That's right. He used to lay drunk with the hogs in the Tangerd. but he hasn't been seen in these parts for a year or more. What are we going to do about it, Huck?
Well, what about Miss Watson? I could sell her.
Hey, she'll do, Huckleberry. Huckleberry can sell Miss Watson.
Say, Tom, what's our line of business?
Well, mostly we'll attack the caravans and pillage the Spanish merchants and the rich Arabs.
What are you talking about, Tom? You lost me.
Don't you know nothing, Huck? I've read all about it in books. That's the way all robber gangs do business.
Hey, everybody, look at Jimmy Barnes. He fell asleep.
I don't. I want to go home. I don't want to be a robber no more.
Well, what do you know? This robber's a crybaby. Well, pretty soon Jimmy got mad and said he'd go straight home and tell all the secrets of the gang. But Tom gave him 5 cents to keep quiet, and Jimmy was happy again. Finally, we all went home for the night. We played robbers now and then for about a month, and then I resigned. The only Spanish merchants and rich Arabs we attacked turned out to be nothing but a Sunday school picnic. Three or 4 months run along, and it was well into winter now. When I was coming home from school one day, I spied some tracks around the house. Oh, I didn't notice anything at first, but then I saw there was a cross in the left boot heel to keep the devil away. Well, I knew that mark. When I lit my candle and went up to my room that night, there sat Pap, his own self. Oh, he was most 50, and he looked it. His hair was long and tangled and greasy and hung down, and you could see his eyes shining through like he was behind vines. There weren't no color in his face where his face showed. It was white. Not like another man's white, but a white to make a body sick. A white to make a body's flesh crawl. A tree-toed white. A fish belly white. And as for his clothes, just rags, that was all. 2 of his toes stuck through one of his boots, and he worked them now and then, and his hat was laying on the floor. An old black slouch hat with the top caved in like a lid.
Starchy clothes. You think you're a good deal of a big bug, don't you?
Well, maybe I am, and maybe I ain't.
Don't give me none of your lip. You put on considerable many frills since I've been away. I'll take you down a peg before I get done with you. You're educated, too, they say. You can read and write and do mathematics.
Well, I've been to school most all the time, and can spell and read and write a little.
Yeah.
And can say the multiplication tables up to 6 times 7 is 35.
Yeah.
But I don't reckon I'll ever get any further than that if I live forever.
You think you're better than your father now, don't you? 'Cause he ain't been to school. Well, I'll take it out of you. Who told you to meddle with such highfalutin foolishness, hey? Who told you could?
The widow, she told me.
The widow, hey? Well, who told the widow she could put in her shovel about a thing that ain't none of her business?
Nobody never told her.
Well, looky here. You drop that school, you hear? You let me catch you fooling around with that school again, and you'll get it. Your mother couldn't read, and she couldn't write neither before she died. Here you are swelling yourself up like this. I ain't the man to stand it, you hear me? I say, take us. Let me hear you read.
The hazardous position of the army from the great extent and weakness of its lines was brought to the attention of General Washington, and he summoned a council of war.
That's so. You can read. Had my doubts when you told me. Now, you stop that putting on frills. I won't have it. I'll lay for you, Miss Marty, and if I catch you about that school, I'll tan you good. First thing you know,
You get religion, too. I never see such a son.
Old Pap took $1 from me, and the next day got drunk and went a-blowing around and cussing and whooping and carrying on. He kept it up all over town with a tin pan till most midnight, and then they tossed him in jail. Well, the new judge in town said he was going to make a new man of Pap. So he took him to his own house and dressed him up clean and nice and had him to breakfast and dinner and supper with the family. And the judge was just old pie to Pap, so to speak.
Whiskey is an evil, Mr. Finn, the devil's own tool. It'll put a man in his grave quicker than lightning.
Yep, I've been a fool, Judge. And I've fooled away my life. But now I'm a-going to turn over a new leaf and be a man nobody wouldn't be ashamed of. And I hope, Judge, you and your wife won't look down on me.
I could hug you for those words, Mr. Finn.
Oh, Mr. Finn, we're so happy.
I'm a man who's always been misunderstood.
Of course, Mr. Finn.
When a man's down, he needs sympathy and kindness, Judge.
That's right, Mr. Finn.
Oh, Mr. Finn, we're so happy.
You see this hand? Look at it, gentlemen and ladies all. Take a hold of it. Shake it. There's a hand that was the hand of a hog, but it ain't no more. It's the hand of a man that started in on a new life, and he'll die before he'll go back. You mark them words. Don't forget I said 'em. It's a clean hand now. Shake it. Don't be afeard.
I'll shake it, Mr. Finn.
Oh, let me kiss that hand, Mr. Finn.
And I'm a-signing this pledge with my mark to start a new life and turn away from that devil drink.
Mr. Finn, this is the holiest time on record.
Well, that night, they tucked Pap into bed in a beautiful spare room. But sometime in the night, he got powerful thirsty and come out the window and went into town and traded his new coat for a jug of red-eye and went back to the bedroom to drink it. Toward daylight, he crawled out again, drunk as a fiddler, and rolled off the porch and broke his left arm in 2 places, and most froze to death where somebody found him after sunup. And that spare room was a sight. Looked like a hog had been rooting around in it half the night. The judge was awful sore. He said he reckoned a body could reform Pap with a shotgun maybe, but he didn't know no other way. One day in the spring, Pap watched out for me by the school and catched me and took me upriver about 3 miles in a boat and crossed over to t'other side where it was woody and there weren't no houses but an old log hut hidden in thick timber. We stayed there, and every little while he locked me in and went down to the store 3 miles and traded fish for whiskey, fetched it home and got drunk and had a noisy time and licked me. Once he locked me in and was gone 3 days. Oh, it was dreadful lonesome. I tried to get out, but I couldn't find no way. Finally, Pap came back. He'd been drunk over in town and laid in the gutter all night and was a sight to look at. A body would have thought he was Adam. He was just all mud. While I was cooking supper, the old man took a swig or two, got sort of warmed up, and then went to ripping again.
You call this a government? Why, just look at it and see what it's like. Is the law standing ready to take a man's son away from him? A man's own son, who's had all the trouble and all the expense of raising. Yes, just as that man has got that son raised at last, ready to go to work and begin to do something for him and give him a rest, The law ups and adopts that boy to a widow that ain't no relation. And they call that government.
But the widow, she only took me when you was gone so long.
Yeah, and she started teaching you to read and be fancy, too, when she knew that your own pap couldn't read. It's the government, I tell you. Why, letting people take a man's own son away from him, then teaching him to put on frills. Sometimes I've a mighty good notion just to leave the country for good and all. You bet, and I told him so.
Pap was a-going on so he never noticed where his old limber legs was taking him to. So he went head over heels over the tub of salt pork and barked both shins. And the rest of his speech was all the hottest kind of language. He hopped around considerable first on one leg and then on t'other, holding first one shin and then t'other one. And at last, he let out with his left foot all of a sudden and fetched the tub a rattling kick. But it weren't good judgment, 'cause that was the boot that had a couple of his toes leaking out the front end of it. So now he raised a howl that fairly made a body's hair raise. And down he went in the dirt, rolling and holding his toes. Well, Pap kept a-going at it, and then I kind of dozed off. All of a sudden, there was an awful scream. Oh, and I was up. There was Pap, looking wild and skipping round every which way, yelling about snakes.
They're crawling up my legs. What beat me on the cheek? Take him off. Take him off. He's biting me on the neck.
Finally, he was plumb worn out and laid himself down, moaning kind of soft about the angel of death.
Oh, he's here. Don't touch me. Don't. Hands off. Oh, they're cold. They're cold. Oh, let a poor devil alone.
By and by, he rolled over and jumped up on his feet looking wild. Then he seen me and come after me, calling me the angel of death. Hey, no! Hey, I'm only Huck.
I'll get you now, you.
No, honest, really, it's just me, Huckleberry, no!
You won't get away this time. Oh, Pap Finn will show the angel of death a real fight.
Well, he chased me round a spell, and pretty soon he was all worn out and fell on the floor to rest, saying he'd catch the angel of death in a minute. Then he fell asleep, and I sat there trembling, and planning how I could escape. I found a small knife, and every time Pap locked me in and went across river, I sawed a little more on one of the boards near the back of the cabin. Finally, one day he locked me in and took the boat. I went to work on that log, and 'fore he was cross river, I was out through the hole. I went down to the river, looking at Pap and his boat, which was just a speck on the water way over yonder. Then all at once, here comes a canoe. Just a beauty, too. About 13 or 14 feet long, riding high like a duck. It was a drift canoe, sure enough. And I swum out and brought it to shore. I judged I'd float down river to Jackson Island, about 7 miles, and hide there. But I didn't want Pap a-coming after me, nor the widow either, since I had sort of got used to being free and comfortable. So I decided to make it look like I'd been done in and the cabin robbed. I loaded everything I could in the canoe. Then I covered up the hole where I'd sawed my way out. Next, I took the axe and smashed in the door and stirred things up considerable, like the angel of death had been there his own self. It looked like a murder had been done for sure. I wish Tom Sawyer was there. I knowed he'd take an interest in this kind of business and throw in the fancy touches. I was just climbing into the canoe when here comes Pap, drunk as a snake and ornery. I could just make 'em out in the darkness. Oh, I didn't lose no time. The next minute I was a-spinning downstream, soft but quick, in the shade of the bank. The sun was up when I waked the next morning on Jackson Island, and I was feeling rested and satisfied. But just then... What was that? Oh, I knowed what the matter is. They're firing a cannon over the water, trying to make my carcass come to the top. Why, that ferry boat's floating with the current and coming right in here, close to the island.
Look sharp now. The current sets in the closest here. And maybe he's washed ashore and got tangled amongst the brush at the edge. I hope so, anyway.
I didn't hope so. Most everybody was on the boat, crowding up and leaning over the rail. Pap and the judge and even Tom Sawyer.
Stand away. We're going to let off another blast.
The cannon was right afore me and let off such a boom that it made me deaf with the noise. Oh, I'm pretty near blind with the smoke. If they'd have had some bullets in it, I reckon they'd have got the corpse they was after. The island was about 3 miles long, smack in the center of the river. And after 3 or 4 days, I finally got the urge to explore. I went fooling along in the deep woods, watching out for snakes, when all of a sudden I bounded right onto the ashes of a campfire that was still smoking. My heart jumped up amongst my lungs. I slunk back into the thick trees, watching and listening. But my heart was pounding so I couldn't hear nothing else. By and by, I says to myself, I'm a-gonna find out who 'tis that's here on this island with me. I'll find it out or bust. About midnight, I went creeping through the woods back to where I'd run across the campfire, stopping every minute or two to listen. By and by, sure enough, I catched a glimpse of fire away through the trees. When I was close enough to have a look, there laid a big man on the ground. It most gave me the fantods. It was getting gray daylight when pretty soon he stretched himself and hove off the blanket. And it was Miss Watson's slave, Jim. Oh, was I glad to see him. Well, Jim.
Oh, don't you come close to me. I ain't never done no harm to a ghost. Now you go on and get in the river again where you belongs, and don't do nothing to old Jim, who was always your friend.
Shucks, Jim, I ain't no ghost. I warn't killed at all. Here, touch me.
Well, it do seem to be you, Huck. Lordy, but you gave me a fright. Well, looky here, Huck. Who was it that was killed in that shanty if it wasn't you?
There warn't nobody killed. I planned it, so Pap wouldn't come a-looking for me.
How long you been here?
Since the night I got killed, 3 or 4 days. But, Jim, how come you're over here?
Maybe I better not tell.
Why, Jim?
Well, there's reasons. But you wouldn't tell 'em if I was to tell you, would you, Huck?
Blamed if I would, Jim.
Well, I believe you, Huck. I run off.
Jim!
But mine? You said you wouldn't tell. You know you said you wouldn't tell, Huck.
Well, I did. I said I wouldn't, and I'll stick to it. People might call me a low-down abolitionist, but that don't make no difference. But, Jim, why'd you do it?
Well, you see, Huck, old Miss Watson, she picks on me all the time and treats me pretty rough. But she always said she wouldn't sell me down to Orleans. But one night, I come creeping in pretty late, and I hear old Miss Watson saying to the widow that she was going to sell me if she could get $800 from me. And I'd seen a slave trader nosing around town considerable lately, Huck, and knew I was in trouble. So I lit out and come here.
Next morning, I reckoned I'd slip over to shore and find out what was a-going on.
Why don't you put on this old calico dress what belongs to my child, Huck, so's nobody'll know you?
Gee, that's a swell idea, Jim.
Here, put on this sunbonnet, too.
Well, I got all disguised, and I went over to the Illinois shore in the canoe just after dark. I slipped up and peeped in at the window of a little shanty, and there was a woman in there knitting by a candle, a stranger, which was luck for me.
Come in. Well, who are you?
Sarah Williams.
Take a chair. Why, are you alone? You'd better not be traveling alone at night. There was a young boy named Huckleberry Finn what was killed near here a few days ago.
Who done it?
Nobody knows for sure. Some think old Pap Finn did it.
No. Is that so?
Yeah, but now folks is a-thinking it was done by a runaway slave named Jim.
Why, he couldn't have done it.
But he run off about the time of the murder. In fact, I told my husband like as not that runaway is a-hiding over on Jackson Island. I seen smoke coming from there t'other day. So he's going over with the group late tonight. Say, what'd you say your name was, honey?
Mary Williams.
Hey, I thought you said it was Sarah before.
Yes'm, I did. Sarah Mary Williams.
Come now, what's your real name?
What, ma'am?
Why, I spotted you for a boy when you first stopped in here. Now, what's your real name?
George Peters, ma'am.
Oh, well, try to remember it, George. Don't tell me it's Alexander in a few minutes. You do a pretty poor girl, though you might have fooled some men. Now, you trot along, Sarah Mary Williams, George Alexander Peters, and don't forget who you are.
After I left the shanty, I made a beeline for the canoe and took off for the island. Where Jim's camp had been, I started a good fire to fool the men who were coming. Then I jumped in the canoe and dug out for our place, 1.5 miles below, as hard as I could go. I roused Jim from his sleep. Get up and moving, Jim. There ain't a moment to lose.
What's up, Huck?
They're after us. After we left Jackson Island, we just floated down the river, stopping days and going at night. We found some drift logs, and Jim fixed them up nice and comfortable into a raft and built a snug wigwam on it with a floor raised a foot or more above the raft so the blankets and stuff wouldn't get wet. We tied the canoe at the back and just floated along with the current, catching fish now and then or shooting a waterfowl that got up too early in the morning. Take it all around, we lived mighty good. One night, after midnight, we had a big storm with a whole lot of thunder and lightning, and the rain poured down in a solid sheet. We stayed in the wigwam and left the raft to take care of itself. Hey, Jim, looky yonder.
Why, Huck, blame me if it ain't a steamboat that's done killed herself on a rock.
We're drifting straight for it, Jim. Let's land on her.
We better let blame well alone, Huck. Like as not, there's a watchman on that wreck.
Oh, there ain't nothing to watch, Jim. Come on.
I don't know, Huck.
And besides, we might find some things we can use. I can't rest, Jim, till we give her a rummaging. Do you reckon Tom Sawyer'd ever let a thing like this go by? You bet he wouldn't. He'd call it an adventure. Well, Jim gave in, and we tied the raft to her and clung aboard. It was dark as pitch, except for the lightning, which come now and then. We were making for the captain's store when, by Jiminy, away down through the hall, we see a light and heard some voices, kind of low.
Boy, I swear I won't ever tell you a lie, Jim Turner. You mean ornery skunk.
I told you it weren't good judgment to come here, Huck. Let's go for the raft.
You go, Jim. I'll be along. I'm just a-boiling with curiosity. I'm going to see what's going on.
You be careful, Huck, and don't get yourself killed again.
Well, I dropped on my hands and knees in the little passage and crept forward and sneaked into the room next to the voices. Through a crack, I see a man stretched on the floor, tied hand and foot, and two men standing over him with a lantern in his hand, and the other one with a pistol.
Don't do anything, Bill. I ain't ever gonna tell.
Indeed you ain't. If it was you standing here, Jim Turner, I know you wouldn't show no mercy.
Put up the pistol, Bill.
Oh, but Jake, you know he's a no-good, low-down skunk.
I can't argue with you there, Bill. I got my reasons. Now put away your gun.
Bless you, Jake Packard. I'll never forget you for that, long as I live.
Which may not be very long.
Now come here a minute, Bill.
Well, the two men were making for the room I was in, and I was cornered, and sorry now I come. I didn't hardly breathe. I was so scared.
Now, I know as well as you, Bill, that Turner's gonna rat on us if he gets out of here.
That's what I've been a-telling you.
Hold on. You listen to me. Let's just leave him tied and skedaddle. It ain't a-gonna be more than a couple hours before this wreck breaks up and washes down the river.
All right, Jake, but it's too darn slow for me.
Let's get the loot and get out of here.
When they went back to where the man was tied up, I lit out, all in a cold sweat, and scrambled back to where Jim was awaiting. Jim! Jim!
Right here, Huck.
Quick, Jim. It ain't no time for fooling around and moaning. There's a rough gang aboard. Untie the raft and let's get.
Boy, Huck. Raft? There ain't no raft no more. She done broke loose and gone, and here we is.
Oh. Say, Jim, let's see if we can find the boat the gang come on and smooch it before they leave. Well, we crept around trying to find the canoe the gang had brought. But when we spied it, they was already there.
You all ready, Bill? Shove her off.
Hold it, Jake. You searched Turner?
No, didn't you?
No, I thought you done it. So, you got here.
Well, let's get it.
Indeed. I don't suppose he's gonna need it.
Hurry, Jim. Let's go before they get back.
The rope's cut, Huck. Keep down.
We went gliding swift along, dead silent. And pretty soon the darkness soaked her up, every last sign of her. And we was safe and knowed it. Then we saw a light on the deck and knew they'd missed their boat and was beginning to understand that they was in just as much trouble now as Jim Turner was. By and by, a flash of lightning showed us a black thing ahead, floating, and we made for it. It was the raft, and we was mighty glad to get aboard again. Next morning, when we began turning over all the things the gang had stole off the wrecked steamboat, we began to see we was nearly rich, with boots and blankets, and even a spyglass, and a lot of books. I read considerable to Jim about kings and dukes and such.
Say, Huck, how much do a king get?
Get? Why, they get $1,000 a month if they want it. Everything belongs to them.
And what they got to do, Huck?
Well, do nothing. Why, how you talk? They just sit around.
No. Is that so?
Sure. They just lazy round or go hawking maybe. But mostly they hang around the harem.
Round the what?
The harem. the place where he keeps his wives. Don't you know about the harem? Solomon had one. He had about 1,000,000 wives.
Most likely they has rackety times in the nursery. They say Solomon was the wisest man that ever lived. But I don't take no stock in that. Would a wise man want to live in the midst of such a blim-blamming all the time?
Well, Solomon was the wisest man, Jim. The widow said so.
I don't care, Huck. He had some of the dad-fetchingest ways I ever see. Does you know about that child that he was going to chop into?
Sure. The widow told me all about it.
Well, then, that weren't the work of no wise man. Why, Huck, if 2 women claims the same child, what does I do? I shin around amongst the neighbors and find out who the child belongs to and hand it over to the right one all safe and sound. But what does Solomon do? He says he's going to give half a child to each woman. What's the use of half a child?
But hang it, Jim, you clean missed the point. Solomon knew the real mother.
No, Huck. I reckon I know sense when I sees it. And there's no sense in such doings as that. The dispute wasn't about half a child, but about a whole child. And the man that thinks he can settle a dispute about a whole child with half a child don't know enough to come in out of the rain.
But, Jim, that ain't what Solomon was trying to do at all.
I reckon I knows what I knows. The trouble is with the way Solomon was raised. You take a man that's only got 1 or 2 children. Is he going to be wasteful of children? No, he can't afford it. He knows how to value them. But you take a man that's got around 5 million children running around the house, why, a child or 2 more or less, with no consequence to Solomon. That fetch him. Say, there ain't no kings here, is there, Huck?
I don't think so. I read summers that maybe some who are going to be kings come to America.
But what do they do here when there ain't no jobs for kings?
Oh, I guess some of them gets on the police force, or some of them teach people how to talk French. I don't know.
Don't the French people talk the same way we does, Huck?
No, Jim, you couldn't understand a word they said. Not a word.
Well, I'll be ding busted. How did that happen?
I don't know. I saw some of their jabber in a book once. Suppose a man was to come to you and say, "Parlez-vous Franzi?" What would you think?
I wouldn't allow nobody to call me that.
Shucks, it ain't calling you anything. It's only saying, do you know how to talk French?
Well, then, why couldn't he just say it?
Well, he is a-saying it. That's a Frenchman's way of saying it.
Well, it's plain ridiculous. There's no sense in it.
Looky here, Jim. Does a cat talk like we do?
No, a cat don't.
Well, does a cow?
No, a cow don't neither.
Well, does a cat talk like a cow, or a cow talk like a cat?
No, they don't.
Well, it's natural and right for 'em to talk different from each other, and to talk different from us, ain't it?
Of course it is, Huck.
Well, then, why ain't it natural and right for a Frenchman to talk different from us? You answer me that.
Is a cat a man, Huck?
No.
Well, then, there ain't no sense in a cat talking like a man. Is a cow a man, or is a cow a cat?
Course not, Jim.
Well, then, she ain't got no business to talk like either one or the other of them. Is a Frenchman a man, Huck?
Yes, sure.
Well, then, dad blame it, why don't he talk like a man? You answer me that.
We judged that 3 more nights would fetch us to Cairo, at the bottom of Illinois, where the Ohio River comes in. And that was what we was after. We planned to sell the raft and canoe and get on a boat and go way up the Ohio, amongst the free states, and be out of trouble, so's nobody could sell Jim into slavery again. Well, we was humping along just fine, when the second night we got into some thick fog. We lit the lantern when we heard a steamboat pounding along, but we didn't see her good till she was close. She was a big one, And she was coming in a hurry, too, looking like a black cloud with rows of glowworms around it. Jim, she's aimed right for us.
She's going to hit us, Huck. Dive!
I dived all right, and I aimed to find the bottom, too, because a 30-foot wheel had to go over me, and I wanted it to have plenty of room. When I bounced to the top, I was nearly busting. I sung out for Jim about a dozen times, but I didn't get any answer. But you couldn't see or hear much in all that fog, especially after the boat started her engines again and went churning along the river. I grabbed a plank and struck out for shore, pushing it ahead of me. I was a good long time in getting over, but I made it and clumb up the bank. I couldn't see much with the darkness and fog and all, but I went poking along over some rough ground and run across a big old-fashioned double log house before I noticed it. I was going to sneak by, but a pack of dogs jumped out and went to howling and barking at me. And I knowed better than to move another peg.
Aren't you dogs? Who's there?
It's me.
Me? Who's me?
George Jackson, sir.
Well, what do you want?
I don't want nothing, sir. I only want to get along by, but your dogs won't let me.
What you prowling around this time of night for, hey?
I wasn't prowling around, sir. I fell overboard off in the steamboat.
Oh, you did you? Strike it like this, somebody. What'd you say your name was?
George Jackson, sir. I'm only a boy.
Tom, fetch your guns. Say, George Jackson, there anybody with you?
No, sir. Nobody.
Snatch that light away, Betsy, you old fool. You got no sense. Keep out of sight. Bob, you ready? You ready, Tom?
Ready? Ready!
Now, George Jackson, you know the Shepherdsons?
No, sir. I never heard of them.
Well, step forward, boy. Come mighty slow. Push the door open yourself. Easy now. There. That's enough. Now put your head in.
Why, he ain't a Shepherdson. That's for sure. Put your guns away.
Why, the poor thing's as wet as he can be, and hungry, I bet.
You're right, Rachel. Take care of him.
Get Buck to bring some of his dry clothes. He's about the same size as this boy.
Well, here's Buck now. Kinda sleepy yet and a-dragging his gun.
Ain't there no Shepherdsons around?
No, it was a false alarm.
Well, if there'd have been some, I reckon I'd have get one.
Why, Buck, they might have scalped us all. You been so slow in coming.
Well, I told him a yarn about how I was an orphan and hadn't nobody in the world, and they said I could have a home there as long as I wanted. So they fed me and took me upstairs and gave me dry clothes and said I was to sleep in the room with Buck. Finally, everybody went back to bed, and when I waked up in the morning, drat it all, I'd forgot what my name was. When Buck finally waked up, I says, can you spell, Buck?
Sure.
I bet you can't spell my name.
Oh, I bet I can, too.
All right, go ahead.
George. Jackson. George Jackson. There now.
Well, you done it, but I didn't think you could. It ain't no slouch of a name to spell right off without studying. Well, I was glad to get my new name again, and I put it down private in case somebody might want me to spell it. I found out that I was took in by the Grangerfords, and what a handsome lot of quality they was. Old Colonel Grangerford was a real gentleman, very tall and very slim. Bob was the eldest son, and Tom next, tall, beautiful men, with broad shoulders and brown faces and long black hair and black eyes, gentlemen like their pa. The daughters was tall and proud and grand and mighty beautiful, too. Buck, the youngest, and me, we got along just fine. They must have had about 100 slaves and a lot of other property, and lived in high style. One day, when we was out in the woods hunting, we heard a horse coming.
Quick, jump for cover.
Who's coming, Buck?
I'm hoping it's a Shepherdson. Now get down. Why, it is. It's Harney Shepherdson.
Hey, it looks like he's been over near your place, Buck.
Well, he'll be sorry he did. Look at him ride.
You shot his hat off, Buck. Did you mean to shoot him?
You bet I did. I just missed. I wonder why he didn't come after me. It ain't like a Shepherdson to ride away.
What'd he do to you, Buck?
Him? He never done nothing to me.
Well, then what you want to shoot him for?
Why, only on account of the feud.
Feud? What in tarnation's a feud?
Why, where was you raised? Don't you know what a feud is?
Never heard of it afore.
Well, a feud's this way. A man has a quarrel with another man and starts shooting. Then, the other man, well, he starts shooting. Pretty soon, the brothers on both sides go for one another. Then the cousins chip in, and by, everybody's killed off. And there ain't no more feud. But it's kind of slow. Takes a long time.
Well, that's blame ridiculous. Has this feud been going on long, Buck?
Well, I should reckon more than 30 years, I calculate.
What was the first trouble about, Buck?
Why, how should I know?
Well, who done the shooting? Was it a Grangerford or a Shepherdson?
Oh, laws, I don't know. It was so long ago.
Well, that beats me, Buck. Has there been many killed?
You bet. A right smart chance of funerals. Pa's got a few bucks shot in him, too. But he don't mind it, 'cause they don't weigh much.
Well, I couldn't see no sense in such foolishness. But then, I didn't grow up among such quality. Why, next to the Colonel, Pap didn't show no more quality than a mudcat. So how could I know about such doings as feuds? On Sunday, we all went off to church.
Hey, here's a riddle. Where was Moses when the candle went out?
I don't know. I never heard about it.
But guess, can't you? It's easy.
Which candle?
Oh, why, any candle.
I don't know. Where was he?
Why, he was in the dark.
Ah.
Hey, there come the Shepherdsons.
Do they go to your church, Buck?
Sure they do. Every Sunday. Why, their family and our family, we keep this church plumb filled every Sunday.
Both families had their guns along, so it looked more like a turkey shoot than a Sunday school. It was pretty ornery preaching, all about brother love and such, and it did seem to me to be one of the roughest Sundays I'd ever run across. Afterwards, we strolled home and had dinner and just lazied around. When I went upstairs to take a nap, there was Miss Sophie standing in her door.
George Jackson, would y'all do me a favor? You like me, don't you?
Oh, sure, ma'am. What is it?
Well, I left my Bible back at the church. Would you go and fetch it for me?
Yes, sure.
Oh, don't say anything to anybody, will you?
No, ma'am. I slid out and slipped off up the road, and there weren't anybody at the church except maybe a hog or two. If you notice, most folks only go to church when they got to, but a hog is different. Well, anyway, I found the Bible, and when I picked it up, a little piece of paper fell out. There was some writing on it, in pencil. 2:30. I shoved it back in and went home, and gave the Bible to Miss Sophie. She looked in the Bible till she found the paper, and as soon as she read it, she looked glad. Was the paper important, Miss Sophie?
Did you read it?
Oh, no, ma'am.
No, it wasn't anything. Just a bookmark.
Well, I didn't think much about it. I went out to play, and one of the slaves come up to me, and asked me if I want to see a whole stack of snakes down in the swamp. I didn't have nothing else to do, so I followed him about half a mile through some thick trees and vines, and when we got to the place, there was a man laying there asleep. And by jingo, it was old Jim. Jim! Why, I didn't expect to see you alive again.
Oh, Huck, there you is.
Ain't you surprised to see me, Jim?
I knowed you was with the Grangerfords. The slaves have been a-hiding me here in the swamp. They told me all about you, Huck.
Well, why didn't you send them to fetch me sooner, Jim?
Well, I've been a-patching up the raft nights and...
What raft, Jim?
Why, our old raft.
You mean to say it warn't smashed all to flinders?
She was tore up a good deal, but these here slaves found it. It's just about fixed up, Huck.
Well, the next morning, I was just waking up, thinking about how me and Jim should skip out, and I noticed it was mighty still around the house. Nobody stirring. I went downstairs. Nobody was there. Only the slave what took me down to find Jim. What's going on, Jack?
What? Don't you know?
No what? Where's everybody?
Well, Miss Sophie's run off. She run off in the night sometime. Nobody don't know just when. Run off to get married to that young Harney Shepherdson. Leastways, so they spec.
And have the men gone after him and Buck too?
Yep. And the women folks have gone to stir up the relations. I reckon there's going to be some mighty rough times.
Well, now I knew about that note. I took for the river as hard as I could put. By and by, I began to hear guns a good ways off. There were men cavorting around on their horses, yelling and shooting. I hid by the river most of the day watching the feud. I ain't a-going to tell all that I saw. It'd make me sick again if I was to do that. Finally, toward dark, I found Jim down in the swamp, and I told him what had happened. I cried when I told him that Buck was dead. I wished I hadn't ever come ashore that night to see such things. Folks sometimes do the ding-bustin'est crazy thing. It's enough to make a buddy ashamed of the human race. Well, we lit out on the raft for the big water as fast as we could, feeling awful sad. Well, after we left the Grangerfords and escaped all that terrible feuding, we just floated along, free and comfortable. And the days slid so quiet and smooth and lovely. It was a monstrous big river down there, sometimes 1.5 miles wide. We run nights and laid up and hid daytimes, so's nobody would spot Jim and take him for a runaway slave. We fished and swum a lot and kept a good eye on the river, watching the daylight come. Not a sound anywheres. Perfectly still. Just like the whole world was asleep. Only sometimes the bullfrogs are cluttering maybe. So we'd put in the day lazing around listening to the stillness. At night we just floated along, sometimes with that whole river all to ourselves for the longest time. Gee, it's lovely to live on a raft. We had the sky up there, all speckled with stars. Boy, Jim, just look at those stars. There must be a zillion of them.
There sure is a lot of them, Huck.
Do you suppose they was made, Jim, or only just happened?
I don't know, Huck. I reckon they was made.
I bet they just happened. Why, it would have took too long to make so many.
Well, the moon could have laid them, maybe.
Well, I guess that's reasonable, Jim. I've seen a frog lay most as many, so, of course, it could be done.
Look at that one fall, Huck. Streaking down the sky.
Wow. What do you suppose makes them fall like that, Jim?
I allow they got spoiled and was hove out of the nest.
Once or twice a night, we'd see a steamboat slipping along in the dark. And now and then she'd belch a whole world of sparks up out of her chimblies, and they would rain down in the river and look awful pretty. One morning about daybreak, I took the canoe along the river, looking for some berries. I paddled a little ways up a creek amongst some cypress woods, when all of a sudden, here comes a couple of men tearing up the path alongside the creek. I thought I was a goner, for whenever anybody was after somebody else, I judged it was me, or maybe Jim.
Oh, save us. Don't let him catch us.
We didn't do anything. Help us. They've got dogs a-coming.
Won't you help us, boy? Let us get in your canoe.
Go up along the edge of the creek a ways, then wade down to me and get in. That'll throw the dogs off the scent. They done it, and when they come aboard, we lit out for the river and hid in the cottonwoods where Jim and me was camped. One of these fellas was about 70 or upwards and had a bald head and very gray whiskers. He had an old battered-up slouch hat on and a greasy blue woolen shirt, ragged old breeches stuffed into his boot tops. The other fellow was about 30 and dressed about as ornery. After breakfast, we all laid off and talked, and the first thing that come out was that these chaps didn't know one another.
What got you into trouble?
Well, I've been selling an article to take the tartar off the teeth, and it does take it off, too. But generally, the enamel comes right along with it. Yeah, I was sliding out of town when I ran across you on the trail, and you told me they were coming after you, so, expecting trouble, I decided to scatter out with you. That's my story. What's yours?
Well, I've been running a little temperance revival there about for a week, making it mighty warm for them what like their jugs, and taking as much as $5 or $6 a night, 10 cents a head, children and slaves free. Business a-growing all the time. And somehow or other, a story got around last night that I had a way of putting in my time with a private jug on the sly, which was true. So I decided to leave before they give me a going-away party with tar and feathers.
well, old man, I reckon we might double-team it. What do you think?
I ain't opposed to it. What's your line, mainly?
Oh, I do a little in patent medicines. Theater actor, tragedy mostly. Take a turn at hypnotism when there's a chance. Teach singing geography school for a change. Sling a lecture sometimes. Oh, I do a lot of things. Most anything that comes in handy, just so it ain't work. Well, what's your lay?
Well, I've done considerable in the doctrine way in my time. Laying on of hands is my best hope for cancer and paralysis and such things. I can tell a fortune pretty good when I got somebody along to find out the facts for me. Preaching's my line, too, and working revival meetings and missionary.
Well, after these two rapscallions got through reciting all their lines of business, nobody never said anything for a while. But pretty soon the young man began to groan and sigh and look awful mournful.
What are you moaning about?
To think I should have lived to be leading such a life, to be degraded down to such company.
Well, ain't our company good enough for you?
Oh, I don't blame you, gentlemen, far from it. I don't blame anybody. I deserve it all. Oh, that I should have been brought so low.
Drat it, what are you talking about?
Someday I'll lie down in my grave and forget my past, and my poor broken heart will be at rest.
Broken heart? What are you heaving your poor broken heart at us for? We ain't done nothing.
Oh, I ain't blaming you. I brought myself down, yes. I did it myself. It's right I should suffer. Perfectly right.
Brought down from where? Where was you brought down from?
You wouldn't believe me. Let it pass. It's no matter. The secret of my birth.
The secret of your birth? You mean to say...
Gentlemen, I will reveal the secret of my birth to you. By rights, I am a duke.
Why, blame my cats.
Wow, Duke!
Yes, my great-grandfather, eldest son of the Duke of Bridgewater, fled to this country years ago. I am the descendant of him. I am the rightful Duke of Bridgewater. And here I am, forlorn, fallen from my high estate, hunted by men, ragged, worn, heartbroken, despised by the cold world, degraded to the company of runaways on a raft.
What can we do for you, Duke?
We ain't never met up with any dukes before.
It's no use. I've fallen, and I know I'll never occupy my lofty position again. The world is cruel.
Ain't there anything we can do for you?
No, there's nothing you can do. But it would make me feel better if you would only recognize my former high estate.
What do you mean? How can we do it?
Well, you should bow when you address a duke. Say, Your Grace, or My Lord, or Your Lordship, or even plain Bridgewater.
Well, we done what the Duke said. All through dinner, Jim stood around and waited on him, and I called him by his title, and a body could see it was mighty pleasing to him. But the old man got pretty silent by and by, and appeared mighty troubled about all the attention the Duke was a-getting.
Looky here, Bilgewater. I'm mighty sorry for you, but you ain't the only person on this raft that's had trouble.
No?
No, you ain't. And you ain't the only person that's been snaked down wrongfully out of a high place. And you ain't the only person that's had a secret surrounding his birth.
Why, what do you mean?
Bilgewater, can I trust you?
To the bitter death?
Bilgewater, I am the late Dolphin.
You're what?
Yes, friends, it's too true. Your eyes is looking at this very moment on the poor, disappeared Dolphin. Louis the 17th, the son of Louis the 16th and Mary Antoinette.
Why, blame my cats. More royalty.
And I thought we didn't have no kings here.
Why, you must be well over 100 years old.
Trouble has done it, Bilgewater. Trouble has done it. Trouble has brung these gray hairs and this premature balditude. Yes, gentlemen, you see before you the wandering, exiled, trampled on and suffering rightful King of France.
Well, we tried to comfort him, too, and started calling him Your Majesty, and waiting on him first. This done him heaps of good, and so he got cheerful and comfortable. But the Duke kind of soured on him, and didn't look a bit satisfied.
Why, your great-grandfather and all them other Dukes of Bilgewater was very friendly with my father. They was allowed to come to our palace considerable. Don't be sour, Bilgewater. Like as not, we got to be together a blame long time on this raft. It ain't my fault I weren't born a duke, and it ain't your fault you weren't born a king. So what's the use to worry? Come, give us your hand, Duke, and let's all be friends.
Well, all right.
The king and Duke, they made up, and it took away all the uncomfortableness, and we felt mighty good over it, 'cause it would have been a miserable business to have any unfriendliness on the raft. It didn't take me long to make up my mind that these liars weren't no kings nor dukes at all, but just low-down humbugs and frauds. But I never said nothing, never let on, but kept it to myself. It's the best way. Then you don't have no quarrels and don't get into no trouble. The king and Duke wondered why we only traveled at night and hid up days. So I told them we was going down below New Orleans, and that Jim was my slave, and that I was taking him along with me to live with my Uncle Ben. I told him that since folks might get to thinking Jim was a runaway slave, we only traveled at night to avoid trouble. Well, they believed me and let the thing ride. They played a heap of cards, but got tired of that, and allowed they'd lay out a campaign, as they called it.
Well, Bilgewater, got any suggestions?
Let me see here.
You got quite a handful of posters there. What's this? The celebrated Dr. Armand de Montalban of Paris will lecture on the science of magic. Who's that, Bilgewater?
Why, that's me.
Here's another one. The world-renowned Shakespearean tragedian, Garrick the Younger of Drury Lane, London.
That's me also. Have you ever trod the boards, royalty?
I beg your pardon?
Have you ever acted on the stage?
No.
You shall then before you're 3 days older, fallen grandeur. The first good town we come to, we'll hire a hall and do the sword fight in Richard III and the balcony scene in Romeo and Juliet. How does that strike you?
Well, I'm for anything that'll pay, but I don't know much about it. See, I was too small when Pap used to have plays at the palace in France. You reckon you can learn me?
Easy. Now, I usually do the part of Romeo, so you'll have to play Juliet.
Wasn't that just a young gal? My bald head and white whiskers gonna look uncommon odd on her, maybe.
Don't you worry. When you're in costume, that makes all the difference in the world. Besides, Juliet's in a balcony. Let's see. Here's your costume.
Well, the king was satisfied, so the Duke got out his book and read the parts over in a splendid way, prancing around and acting at the same time to show how it had to be done. Then he give the book to the king and told him to memorize his part. There was a little one-horse town about 3 miles down the bend, so me and the king and the Duke got in the canoe and went to look her over. The place was nearly deserted, 'cause everybody that warn't too young or too sick or too old was gone to a meeting about 2 miles back in the woods. It was a religious meeting. Well, the Duke stayed to get some printing done in town, but the king lowed he'd go and work that camp meeting for all it was worth, and I decided to go too. There was a big crowd at the meeting, and they was pretty well warmed up by the time we got there, with a preacher shouting and the people groaning and crying and saying,
Let me have an amen, sisters and brothers, amen. Oh, come to the mourner's bench. I say, come black what's in there. Come sick and sore, let me hear an amen there, brothers and sisters. Come lame and halt and blind. Come poor and needy. Sunk in shame. The doors of heaven stand open, sisters and brothers, let me hear amen. Hallelujah.
Well, first I know the king got a going, and you could hear him over everybody. And next he went a-charging up onto the preacher's platform and began speaking to the crowd.
Brothers and sisters, standing before you is the blackest sinner of all. You're not going to believe me when I tell you I'm a pirate. That's right, brothers and sisters, and I've been a pirate for 30 years out to the Indian Ocean. My pirate crew was thinned out considerable last spring in a fight. I was coming to take out some fresh men. Thanks to goodness, last night I was robbed and put ashore off a steamboat without a cent. But I'm glad of it now. It was the blessedest thing that ever happened to me, 'cause I'm a changed man and happy for the first time in my life. I'm poor now, brothers and sisters, but I'm a-going to start right off and work my way back to the Indian Ocean and put in the rest of my life trying to turn other pirates into the true path. Amen. And every time I convert a pirate, I'm a-going to say to him, don't you thank me? Don't you give me no credit? It all belongs to them dear people in Pokeville and that dear preacher there, the truest friend a pirate ever had.
Good idea. Pass the hat.
A collection.
Yes, let him pass the hat.
So the king went all through the crowd with his hat, swabbing his eyes and blessing the people, and praising them too, and thanking them for being so good to the poor old pirates away off. People invited him to stay a week and live in their houses, but he told them he was in a great sweat to get to the Indian Ocean right off and go to work on the pirates. Well, when we got back to the raft and he come to count up, he found he had collected $87.75. The king said, take it all around, it laid over any day he'd ever put in the missionary line. Why, he said heathens don't amount to shucks alongside of pirates to work a camp meeting. Well, when the king and duke finished celebrating with their jug and fell asleep, Jim says,
Huck, do you reckon we's going to run across any more kings on this trip?
No, I reckon not.
Well, that's all right then. I don't mind 1 or 2 kings, but that's enough. This one's powerful drunk, and the duke ain't much better.
I found Jim had been trying to get the king to talk French, so he could hear what it was like. But the king said he'd been in this country so long, and had so much trouble, he'd forgot it. While the king was being a pirate at the camp meeting, the duke had been in town at the printing office, making up some more posters. One of them describing Jim as a runaway from down below New Orleans, saying there was a reward and expenses for his return. That way the duke said we could travel by day, and if anybody got curious about Jim, we'd just show him the poster and say we was taking him back. Seemed like a right smart idea. Well, the duke kept helping the king get ready for their big show, learning him over and over and over again how to say a Shakespeare.
Romeo. Now, you mustn't bellow out Romeo that way like a bull. Say it soft and thick and languishy. Romeo. You don't bray like a jackass. Romeo. That's better. Now let's practice a sword fight from Richard III. That always fetches the house.
This here raft's a mighty small stage.
Here's your sword.
Okay, Bilgewater. Now what do we do?
Well, the way they laid on and pranced around the raft was grand to see. But by and by the king tripped and fell overboard.
I'm drowning.
One morning, when we was pretty well down the state of Arkansas, we come in sight of a little one-horse town in a big bend. The king and the duke reckoned this'd be a good place for their show. We struck it mighty lucky. There was going to be a circus there that afternoon, and the country people was already beginning to come in. The duke, he hired the courthouse, and we went around and stuck up our posters. Then I went to the circus, which was the bulliest circus I ever did see. Well, that night we had our show, but there weren't only about 12 people there.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
Why, Juliet couldn't be less than 400 years old.
Why, I do believe this Juliet has a beard.
With love, shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this?
We've heard enough. Let's get on with the sword fight. Romeo against Juliet.
The people laughed all the time, and that made the duke mad. That night, after everybody left, except one boy which was asleep, the duke come up with a new plan.
These Arkansas lunkheads can't come up to Shakespeare. What they want is low comedy or something else. I reckon...
Well, what do you have in mind, Bilgewater?
We'll put on a show tomorrow that these folks won't ever forget. Here, give me some paper.
Well, the duke made a handbill announcing the Royal Nonesuch. Admission 50 cents. Then at the bottom was the biggest line of all, which said, "Ladies and children not admitted."
There. If that line don't fetch 'em, I don't know Arkansas.
Well, it did fetch 'em, too. That place was plumb filled with men, and everybody expecting quite a show. The duke, he gave a little speech and praised up this tragedy and told 'em all about Edmund Kean the Elder, which was the king. And finally he rolled up the curtain. By jingo! The next minute the king comes a-prancing out on all fours, naked as a jaybird. And he was painted all over, ring-streaked and spiked, all sorts of colors, and splendid as a rainbow. Oh, it was just wild but awful funny. The people most killed themselves laughing. He cavorted around that stage till it'd make a cow laugh to see the shines that old idiot cut. Then the curtain come down.
What? Is it over?
Is that all? We've been cheated.
Hold on, gentlemen. We are sold, mighty badly sold, but we don't want to be the laughing stock of this whole town.
He's right.
Now, let's leave here quiet-like and talk up this show and sell the rest of the town. Then we'll all be in the same boat. Ain't that sensible?
You bet it is. The judge is right.
All right, then, not a word about this evening. Go along home, tell everybody to come and see the Royal Nonesuch for themselves.
Right.
Next day, you couldn't hear nothing around that town but how splendid that show was. And the next night, the house was just packed again, fuller'n a tick. And the same thing happened. Well, the third night, the house was crammed again. But they weren't newcomers this time, but people that was at the show the other 2 nights. And I see that every man that went in had his pockets bulging or something hidden under his coat. And I see it weren't no perfumery neither. Wow! Whew! I smelt rotten eggs by the barrel, and spoiled cabbages and such things. And if I know the signs of a dead cat, there was 64 of them that went in. And I knew that the king was really going to get it. When the place couldn't hold no more people, the Duke started around for the stage door. I after him. But the minute we turned the corner and was in the dark, he says,
Walk fast now till you get away from the houses, and then shin for the raft like the Dickens was after you.
But what about the poor king? I reckon he's in for a pretty rough time of it.
Don't you worry about the king. Now you just skedaddle.
Well, I ran like everything and got to the raft at about the same time as the Duke. And we jumped aboard and lit out for the big water, gliding downstream, nobody saying a word. I was feeling pretty sorry for the king, when all of a sudden he crawls out from the wigwam.
Well, how'd the old thing pan out this time, Bilgewater?
Why, you weren't in town at all.
Nope.
Those greenhorns. I knew the first crowd would keep mum and let the rest of the town get roped in. And I knew that they'd lay for us tonight and considered it was their turn now. Well, it is their turn, and I'm mighty sorry we couldn't be there for the picnic. They brought plenty of provisions.
Them rapscallions took in $465 in those 3 nights. I never see money hauled in by the wagon load like that before. By and by, when they was asleep and snoring, Jim says,
Don't it surprise you the way them kings carries on, Huck?
Nah, it don't, Jim.
It don't? How come, Huck?
Well, it don't, 'cause it's in the breed. I reckon they're all alike.
But these kings of ours is regular rapscallions. That's just what they is. They's regular rapscallions.
Well, that's what I'm a-saying. All kings is mostly rapscallions, as far as I can make out.
Is that so?
Well, you read about 'em once, you'll see. Look at Henry VIII. Why, this'n of ours is a Sunday school superintendent compared to Henry. You ought to seen old Henry VIII when he was in bloom. He was a blossom. He used to marry a new wife every day and chop off her head next morning. And he'd do it just as indifferent as if he was ordering up eggs. That's the kind of a bug Henry was. And if we'd have had him aboard instead of our king, Henry would have done worse than just fool that town. All I say is, kings is kings, and you gotta make allowances. Take 'em all around. They're a mighty ornery lot. It's the way they're raised.
But this king do smell so, Huck.
Well, they all do, Jim. We can't help the way a king smells. History don't tell no way.
And this Duke, he's a roughin' too.
When he's drunk, there ain't no nearsighted man could tell him from a king.
Well, I don't hanker for no more of 'em, Huck. These 2 is all I can stand.
I felt the same way as Jim. What was the use to tell Jim these weren't real kings and dukes? It wouldn't have done no good. Besides, it was just as I said. You couldn't tell 'em from the real ones. By this time, I somehow got to talking to Jim about his wife and young'uns, who were still in slavery.
Sometimes, Huck, I gets to thinking about the time I treated my little Elizabeth so ornery. She was only about 4 years old and got the scarlet fever and had a powerful rough spell. One day when she was better, she was standing around and I says to her, "Shut the door." She never done it. She just stood there, kind of smiling up at me. Made me so mad, and I says again, mighty loud, "Shut the door." But she just kept on smiling, and I was aboard, and I says, "I'll lay I'll make you mine." And I fetched her a slap side the head that sent her sprawling. I left room in a huff, and when I come back, she was crying. But there was that door standing open yet. My, but I was mad. I was just going to grab that child. But just then, a wind come in and slam it to behind the child. Kablam! And that child never moved. Oh, Huck. My breath most hopped out of me. I sneaked around behind the child, soft and still. And all of a sudden I said, "Pow!" Oh, Lordy, Huck. I bust out crying and grab her up in my arms and say, "Oh, you poor little thing. Forgive your old daddy." But she was plumb deaf and dumb, Huck. Plumb deaf and dumb. And I'd been a-treating her so.
We had all bought store clothes where we stopped last. I never knowed how clothes could change a body before. Why, the king, he looked like the orneriest old rip that ever was. But now, when he'd take off his new white beaver hat and make a bow and do a smile, he looked so grand and good and pious that you dare say he walked right out of the ark. And maybe he was old Leviticus himself.
Seeing how I'm dressed, I reckon we better arrive at the next town on a steamboat.
How about trying the Royal Nonesuch again?
I judge it wouldn't be safe. News of our last performance might have come down the river by this time. Let's just trust to Providence.
Yeah.
Go for the steamboat, Huckleberry.
I didn't have to be ordered twice to go and take a steamboat ride. So the king and me left to look over the town. A little ways above the village, we tied up and waited for a steamboat. While we was just lazying round, along come a nice, innocent-looking young country jake with a couple of big carpet bags.
Where you bound for, young man?
Oh, for the steamboat. Going to New Orleans.
Well, get aboard. We're going for her, too, as soon as she comes by. Hold on a minute. My servant will help you with them bags. Jump out and help the gentleman, Adolphus.
Well, the king meant me, of course. And I knew that old fraud was up to something. But I didn't mind being Adolphus for a while. I wasn't particular.
When I first see you, I says to myself, why, it's Mr. Wilkes, sure. But he didn't come here in time. You ain't him, are you?
No, I ain't. But who's Wilkes?
Well, folks is a-looking for Harvey Wilkes. But his brother, Peter, died yesterday. Old Peter sent for him when he first took ill a month or two ago. But his brother didn't get here in time.
Oh, that's a shame. Where does Harvey live, anyhow?
Oh, he lives in England. He's a preacher there. But everybody thought he'd come. Him and his younger brother, William. That's a deaf and dumb one. But he's younger, and old Peter never seen him before. Folks is still expecting him, I reckon.
Are there any other relations, or just Harvey and William in England?
Oh, only 3 nieces, the daughters of another brother who died here a few years back.
The girls live with old Peter.
Poor things, to be left alone in a cold world now.
Old Wilkes was pretty well off. Them girls will be took care of. He had a lot of cash hid up somewheres.
When did you say the funeral was?
Well, I didn't say, but it'll be tomorrow about the middle of the day.
Well, when the steamboat come along, we struck out for her. But we didn't get aboard, only gave the young fellow a lift. I knew the king was up to something, the way he kept a-pumping that young man. Why, he went on asking questions till he just fairly emptied that young fella, finding out all about old Peter Wilkes and about his brothers from England and about the nieces and the townspeople. When the fella clumb aboard, the king told me to light out for where the Duke and Jim was, and I done it.
Listen here, Baleswater. There's an opportunity in this town just a-waiting for us. How are you on the deaf and dumb?
Why, I believe I can do a tolerable job.
Well, there's a rich man up yonder what's died, and they're all expecting 2 brothers from England. An older brother, Harvey, which is me, and a deaf and dumb younger brother, which is you.
Well, fill me in, Brother Harvey.
So, the king told him everything, just like the young fella had said it, every last word of it. And the king began to talk like an Englishman. And he done it pretty well, too, for a slouch. Later in the afternoon, their campaign was all planned, and we hailed a big steamboat that was a-comin' from Cincinnati and rode into town in style. When we got ashore, about 24 men flocked around us, being the only passengers to come ashore there. The king spoke to one.
I say, can any of you gentlemen tell me where Mr. Peter Wilkes lives?
Sorry, sir, but the best we can do is tell you where he did live yesterday.
Alas, our poor brother gone. And we never got to see him. Oh, it's too hard.
Then the king turns around, blubbering, and makes a lot of idiotic signs to the Duke with his hands, and blamed if he didn't drop a carpet bag and bust out a-crying. If they weren't the beatin'est lot, them 2 frauds, that I ever struck. When we got to the house, the 3 girls were standing in the door. Mary Jane was the oldest and red-headed, but that don't make no difference. She was most awful beautiful, and her face and her eyes was all lit up like glory. She was so glad her uncles was come.
Oh, Uncle, you've come.
Bless you, dear girls, you poor, lonesome little lambs.
Oh, Uncle Harvey.
Uncle Willie.
Yes, this is your poor uncle's come too late. Oh, there lies our poor, cold brother.
Quiet, everybody.
Well, the king and the Duke made for the coffin and took one sight. And then they bust out a-crying so you could have heard 'em to New Orleans most. Oh, they went to blubbering for 3, maybe 4 minutes. I never see 2 men leak that way before. And mind you, everybody was doing the same. The place was just damp with folks a-sobbing and swabbing their eyes. I never see anything so disgusting. Finally, the king, he gets up and works himself up and slobbers out a speech, all full of tears and flapdood.
Forgive us, dear friends, for carrying on so, but this has been a sore trial for me and my poor deaf and dumb brother. After coming 4,000 miles and then miss seeing our dear brother alive. But our tribulations has been sweetened and sanctified to us by your dear sympathy and these holy tears. Amen.
The king, he kept up the slush and rot till it was just sickening, until somebody started up the music.
We shall meet
After all that sold butter and hogwash, the music sort of freshened up things, sounding honest and bully. Well, the king shook hands with everybody, getting to know all the friends of poor dead Peter, and making a pretty good show of it. And the Duke was a goo-gooing all the time like a baby. Finally, Mary Jane fetched a letter her uncle had left behind, which was sort of a will. It give the house and $3,000 in gold to the girls, along with a business and other property, and another $3,000 in gold to Harvey and William. And it told where the whole kit and caboodle was hid down the cellar. Well, the two frauds went to fetch it, and I went along down to hold a candle.
Well, I'll be switched. Here's the gold right where the letter said.
Look at the gold.
Why, Bilgewater, it beats the Royal Nonesuch, don't it?
Oh, indeed it does. Things is getting better and better.
Being brothers to a rich dead man and foreigners who are heirs to his fortune is a line for me and you, Bilge.
Most everybody would have been satisfied with a pile and took it on trust. But no, they had to count it. So they counts it. And boy, my cats, if it didn't come out $415 short.
Darn that, Peter. I wonder what he done with that $415.
Well, he was a pretty sick man, and likely he just made a mistake. The best way is to let it go and keep still about it. We can spare it.
Oh, shucks, yes, we can spare it. What I'm saying is folks might get suspicious if the full amount ain't there. We ought to lug this here money upstairs and count it before everybody. But when the dead man says there's $6,000 stowed away, there better be the full amount.
Hold on. Let's make up the deficit from the take we made on the Royal Nonesuch.
Why, Bilgewater, you have got a rattling clever head on you.
Say, I got another idea. Let's go upstairs and count this money and then take and give it to the girls.
Good lad, Duke, let me hug you. It's the most dazzling idea that ever a man struck. It's the bulliest scheme yet. Let 'em fetch along their suspicions now if they want to. This'll lay 'em out sure.
You bet.
When we got upstairs, everybody gathered around the table, and the king counted it and stacked it up in piles, all gold coins. Everybody looked hungry at it and licked their chops. Then the king began to swell himself up for another speech.
Friends all, our poor brother, what lays yonder, has done generous by them that's left behind in the vale of sorrows. And he's done generous to these here poor little lambs, his nieces. And we that knowed him knows that he would have done more for 'em, except he wanted to do right by his two distant brothers, poor deaf and dumb William and me. But what kind of uncles would we be that'd rob, yes, rob, such poor sweet lambs as these? Now, I think I know what William would want me to do with his portion of the money. Well, I'll just ask him.
The king, he turns around and begins to make a lot of signs to the Duke with his hands. And the Duke, he looks at him, stupid and leather-headed a while. Then, all of a sudden, he seems to catch his meaning and jumps for the king, goo-gooing with all his might for joy, and hugs him about 15 times before he lets up.
I knowed it. I reckon that'll convince anybody the way Brother William feels about it. Here, Mary Jane, Susan, Joanna, take the money. Take it all. It's a gift to him that lays yonder, cold but joyful.
Well, if that didn't convince everybody, nothing would. Everybody crowded up with tears in their eyes and shook the hands off of them two frauds.
You dear good soul.
How lovely.
How could you?
Well, just then, in walks Doc Robinson and the Reverend Hobson, two friends of the family who'd been uptown. The doctor was shipping a sick man to the other world, and the preacher was pointing him right. They listened to the king for a minute and then started to laugh.
What do
Doctor, ain't you heard the news? This is Harvey Wilkes, Peter's brother from England.
Is this my poor brother's dear good friend and physician? I'm mighty pleased.
Keep your hands off me. You talk like an Englishman, don't you? It's the worst imitation I ever heard. You, Peter Wilkes's brother, you're a fraud, that's what you are.
Now, Doctor, he's Harvey for sure. He knows everybody in town, just like Peter wrote to him in England.
Mary Jane, I was your father's friend, and an honest one that wants to protect you. This man's the thinnest kind of imposter. Come in here with a lot of empty names and facts which he picked up somewheres. Now listen to me. Turn this pitiful rascal out, I beg you.
Here's my answer. Take this money, Uncle Harvey, and keep it for me and my sisters. And don't give us no receipt for it. I trust you.
Good for you.
That's right.
Good for you.
All right. I wash my hands of the matter. But I warn you all, there are times a-coming when you're going to feel sick whenever you think of the day you believed this impostor.
Well, all right, Doctor. We'll try and get 'em to send for you when we're sick. Only we hope you won't cure us the way you do some of your patients.
That night there was a big supper, and all the close friends was there. And I stood behind the king's and the duke's chairs and waited on 'em, and the servants waited on the rest. Mary Jane said how bad the biscuits was, and how mean the preserves was, and how ornery and tough the fried chicken was, and all that kind of rot, the way women always do to force out compliments. And the people all knowed everything was tip-top and said so. Afterwards, when I ate out in the kitchen, the youngest sister, Joanna, got to pumping me all about England.
Did you ever see the king?
Well, I bet I have. He goes to our church.
What, regular?
Sure. His pew's right over opposite our'n, on t'other side of the pulpit.
I thought the king lived in London.
Well, he does. Where would he live?
But I thought you lived in Sheffield with Uncle Harvey.
Well, I see I was up a stump. I had to let on to get choked with a chicken bone so's to get time to think how to get down again. Well, the king only goes to our church regular when he's in Sheffield, in the summertime, when he comes there to take the sea baths.
Why, how you talk? Sheffield ain't on the sea.
Well, who said it was?
Well, you did.
No, I didn't.
Well, what did you say then?
I said he comes to take the sea baths. That's what I said.
Well, then how's he going to take the sea baths if it ain't on the sea? You answer me that.
Looky here. Did you ever see any mountain spring water?
Sure.
Well, did you have to go to the mountains to get it?
Well, no.
Well, the king doesn't have to go to the sea to get a sea bath. They fetch it to him in barrels.
Oh. Do you go to church, too?
You bet. Regular.
Where do you sit?
Why, in our pew, of course.
Whose pew?
Why, our'n. Your Uncle Harvey's.
What does he want with a pew?
Why, he wants to sit in it. What do you reckon he wanted with it?
Why, I thought he'd be at the pulpit a-preaching.
I see I was up a stump again. I plumb forgot. That old phony was supposed to be a preacher. So I got to choking again and got another think. Why, blame it. Do you suppose there ain't but one preacher to a church?
What do they want with more?
Well, to preach before a king, naturally. They don't have no less than 17.
17? My land, why? I wouldn't sit through such a string of sermons as that. Not if I never got to glory. Well, it must take 'em a week to wind up the service.
Oh, shucks, they don't all of them preach the same day. Only one of them.
Then why do they have so many?
Why, they're for style.
Now, why are you talking this boy's leg off, Joanna? Well, he's told some stretchers, I reckon. And I can't swallow 'em all. Joanna, it don't make no difference what he said. That ain't the thing. The thing is for you to treat him kind. Remember, he ain't in his own country and amongst his own folks.
Well, Joanna, she asked my pardon. And she done it beautiful. She done it so beautiful, it was good to hear. And I wished I could tell her 1,000 lies so she could do it over again. Then I says to myself, these are the girls that I'm letting that old reptile rob of their money. I felt so ornery and low down and mean that I decided to rescue that money for them or bust. Well, I went up to the king's room and started to paw around, scared to light a candle. About that time, I hears their footsteps, so I jumped in behind some frocks a-hanging in the closet and listened.
Well, what is it, Bilgewater? We shouldn't stay away from the family long.
Well, I ain't comfortable. That doctor might make trouble for us. I think we better skip out of here early in the morning.
What? And not sell out the rest of the property? Why, we can make a killing here if we just sit tight, play our cards outright.
Oh, let's let well enough alone. There's enough gold for us. We don't need to rob a lot of orphans of everything they got.
Why, how you talk. Where you been? Listening to the parson?
Well, all right. We'll stay. But it seems blame foolishness with that doctor ready to stir up trouble.
Cuss the doctor! What do we care for him? Ain't we got all the fools in town on our side? And ain't that a big enough majority in any town?
Maybe you're right. But I don't think we put the money in a good place.
What do you mean?
Well, we hid it in amongst these old clothes, and like as not they'll be boxing them up to put them away.
You're right, Bilgewater. Let's stick it inside this straw mattress under the feather bed. They never turn it over but about twice a year.
Hurry it up. Let's go downstairs.
There. Come on.
Well, that makes me feel better.
Well, I felt better too. Before they was halfway downstairs, I had snaked the bag of gold out of the mattress and went up to the cubby where I was a-sleepin'. I was in a sweat to get done with the business. So, when the king and duke come up and went to bed, I slipped down the ladder with the gold. I was just passing the parlor where the corpse was a-lying when, drat it, somebody started down the stairs. I darted into where old Peter was stretched out, looking for a place to stash the gold, and the only place I see to hide the bag was in the coffin. So I tucked the money in under the lid, just down below where his hands was crossed and out of sight. Then I walked out real slow and mournful.
Oh, it's you, Adolphus.
Good evening, Mary Jane. I was just paying my last respects to your dear uncle.
Why, that was mighty thoughtful of you.
Well, good night, ma'am.
Good night, Adolphus, and thank you ever so much.
The next day they held the funeral. There was a lot more slobbering and nose-blowing, and they had borrowed a melodeon, a sick one. And when everything was ready, a young woman sat down and worked it. Oh, it was pretty squeaky and colicky, and everybody joined in and sung. And Peter was the only one that had a good thing, according to my notion. I was in a sweat through the whole thing, wondering if anybody'd find that bag of gold laying there in the coffin. But nobody did. And afterwards, they buried old Peter, gold and all. Well, the next day, the king and duke come up in the cubby and woke me up. And I see by their look that they had missed the gold.
Wake up, you. Was you in my room night before last?
No, Your Majesty.
Was you in there yesterday or last night?
No, I weren't.
Have you seen anybody else go in there?
No, Your Grace. Not as I remember.
Stop and think.
Well, I see some of the slaves go in there several times.
When was that?
Why, the day of the funeral.
Well, go on. Go on. What did they do?
Well, they didn't do nothing. I figured they was just going to straighten your room and found you still sleeping, so they slid out without waking you up.
Great guns.
Hey, is anything the matter?
That ain't none of your business. You just keep still.
We got to just swallow it and say nothing until we find out who took it. I told you we should have lit out early yesterday morning.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
I see I had to act fast. I reckon a body that ups and tells the truth when he's in a tight place is taking considerable many risks. But I had to do it. So I slipped in to see Miss Mary Jane. Miss Mary Jane, I just got to talk to you. It's real important.
What is it, Adolphus?
Now, don't you holler. Just sit still and take it like a man. I gotta tell the truth, and you want to brace up, Miss Mary, 'cause it's a bad kind and gonna be hard to take.
Well, goodness sakes alive, what is it?
Well, these uncles of yourn ain't no uncles at all. They're a couple of frauds, regular deadbeats. There now, we're over the worst of it. You can stand the rest middlin' easy. I told her every blame thing, from where we first struck that young fool going for the steamboat, right up to when we met the family on the front porch. Finally, she jumps up with her face afire like sunset.
The brutes! Don't waste a minute. We'll have 'em tarred and feathered and flung in the river.
Just hold on. It's a rough gang, and there's another person hiding downriver that you don't know about. Him and me'd be in considerable trouble unless we can get loose of these frauds.
Well, what are we going to do?
You slip out of town for the day and visit some friends and give me time to work things out and get away.
But if you're gone, how can we prove those rascals is frauds?
Oh, I could swear there was beats and bummers, but there's others can do better than what I can. Give me a pencil and a piece of paper. There. Royal Nonesuch, Bricksville. If you want witnesses about these rapscallions, send up to Bricksville and say you've got the man that played the Royal Nonesuch. You'll have the entire town down here before you can hardly wink, and they'll come a-boiling, too.
Well, I'll go over and spend the day with the Lothrops.
Good. There's one more thing, that bag of money.
Well, they've got that, and it makes me feel pretty silly to remember that I gave it to them.
Well, they hain't got it.
Why, who's got it?
I had it because I stole it away from them. But then I hid it.
Where?
Well, I'd rather not tell you where I put it. Not just yet. But I'll write it down for you on a piece of paper. And you can read it when you get back and I'm gone. So I wrote on a paper. I put it in the coffin. I folded it up and give it to her. And I see the water come into her eyes and she says,
"Oh, goodbye. I shan't ever forget you. And if I don't ever see you again, I'll think of you many and many a time. And I'll pray for you, too."
Well, she lit out and was gone. Pray for me. I reckoned if she knowed me, she'd take a job that was more nearer her size. In my opinion, she had more sand in her than any girl I ever see. In my opinion, she was just full of sand. Sounds like flattery, but it ain't. It's the truth. The king and the duke bluffed their way along throughout the public auction, selling everything that belonged to poor dead Peter Wilkes. Well, whilst they was at it, I'll be ding-busted if a steamboat didn't land with the two real brothers who come with a crowd a-whooping and yelling and laughing, wondering now which was the real brothers and which was scoundrels. They was fetching a very nice-looking old gentleman along, and a younger one with his right arm in a sling. And the old fella, he said he was Harvey Wilkes, and that the young man with him was William. Well, now, we had 2 sets of heirs from England, and I calculated it was going to get pretty rough for our gang. Everybody went down to the tavern, and they sailed in on the general investigation. And it was the worst mixed-up thing you'll ever see.
Let's have 'em write something down. We got some letters from the English Wilkes, ain't we?
Good idea, Levi. That'll fix it.
Here's some paper and a pen.
Here, each of you write a line or two and sign your name. Now we'll find out which is the real Harvey and William.
Okay. There you are. Here's my note. This is William's.
The king, he waltzed through without batting an eye, gazing down sorrowful on them newcomers, like it'd give him the stomach ache to think there could be such frauds and rascals in the world. And the Duke, he went a-goo-gooing around, happy and satisfied, like a jug that was googling out buttermilk. Well, they all wrote, except one of the newcomers, who had his arm in a sling and gave the notes to the lawyer.
Well, it beats me. These old letters is from Harvey Wilkes, and none of these notes written by these three gentlemen matches them.
If you please, let me explain. No one can read my handwriting but my brother there, so he copies all for me. All of my letters are copied in his handwriting.
Well, get him to write a line or two so we can compare.
He can't write with his left hand, and he's injured his right one.
Now, isn't that convenient?
I've thought of something. Is there anybody here that helped lay out the late Peter Wilkes for the burying?
Yeah, me and Ab Turner done it. We're both here.
Well, then, the real brothers should be able to tell what was tattooed on his chest. Do you know, sir?
Well, the man was talking straight to the king, and I says to myself, now he'll throw up the sponge. There ain't no more use. But the king didn't. He was the gall-darndest fraud you ever see.
It's a very tough question, ain't it? Yes, sir. I can tell you what's tattooed on his chest. It's just a small, thin blue arrow. That's what it is, but if you don't look close, you can't see it. Now, what do you say, eh?
There. You heard what he said. Was there any such mark on Peter Wilkes' chest?
We didn't see no such mark.
I didn't see it.
Good. Now, what you did see on his chest was a small P, and a B, and a W, his initials. Come, isn't that what you saw?
No, we didn't.
We never saw any marks at all.
The whole mess of them is frauds.
Let's ride 'em on a rail.
Let's give him a duck.
Listen, there's only one way to get this straightened out. Let's go and dig up poor old Peter and look.
Good.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, we swarmed along down the river road to the graveyard, and they was carrying on like wildcats. And to make it more scary, the sky was darking up, and the lightning was beginning to wink and flitter. When they got to the grave, they found they had about 100 times as many shovels as they wanted. But nobody hadn't thought to fetch a lantern. They sent for one and started in digging anyway. Finally, they dug old Peter up and was about to look for that tattoo, when all of a sudden the lightning let go a perfect sluice of white glare, and somebody sing out,
"By the living jingo, here's a bag of gold on his chest."
Well, the man who was holding my arm, he let out a whoop, like everybody else, and dropped my wrist. There warn't time to swap knives. The way I lit out and shinned for the road in the dark, there ain't nobody can tell. Well, I skipped through town and made for the river and begun to look sharp for a boat to borrow. I found a canoe that wasn't chained and untied her and struck for the place where Jim was a-hiding. Out with you, Jim, and set the raft loose. Glory be to goodness, we're shut of 'em.
Lordy, Huck, it's you. Come at last.
Cut loose and let her slide, Jim.
What's going on, Huck? Where's the royalty?
I'll tell you later. Just get a humping. I was jumping around for joy, happy to be free again and safe, when I noticed a sound that I knowed mighty well. Sure enough, when the next flash busted out over the water, here they come, and just a-laying to their oars and making their boat hum. It was the king and the duke. Well, it was all I could do to keep from crying. Finally, we smooched a sheet and a shirt off the clothesline and laid out our plans to free Jim. Tom said we should fetch some tools to dig with, so I found some old crippled picks and shovels. But Tom thought they was modern conveniences, and not at all what a prisoner would have in his wardrobe. So he got a couple of old knives, but he said even that weren't quite regular. What he really wanted was to dig through a solid rock fortress for 37 years. Late that night, we crept out and started digging. We dug and dug and dug till most midnight and got dog-tired and our hands all blistered. And still you couldn't see we'd done anything hardly. This ain't no 37-year job, Tom. This is a 38-year job.
It ain't no use, Huck. It ain't a-gonna work. Prisoners wouldn't get but a few minutes to dig every day while they was changing watches, and they keep it up right along year in and year out.
But we can't fool along, so what are we gonna do, Tom?
I'll tell you. It ain't right, and it ain't moral, and I wouldn't like it to get out. But there's only just one way. We gotta dig 'em out with the picks and let on we're using old knives.
Now you're talking. Your head gets leveler and leveler all the time, Tom Sawyer. When I start in to steal a slave, I ain't no ways particular how it's done, so it gets done.
It might answer for you to dig Jim out with a pick without pretending, 'cause you don't know no better. But it wouldn't do for me, 'cause I do know better. Give me a knife and let's get started.
Well, I handed him my old knife, but he threw it down and said,
"Give me a knife."
Well, I scratched around amongst the old tools and got a pickaxe and give it to him. And he took it and went to work and never said a word. He was allus just that particular, full of principle. Well, when we finished, we was just full of blisters and tired as groundhogs. Well, Tom tried to shinny up the lightning rod to our room, but he couldn't make it. His hands were so sore. At last he says,
"It ain't no use. I can't do it. What do you reckon I better do? Can't you think of no way?"
"Yeah, but I reckon it ain't regular. Come up the stairs and let on it's a lightning rod." So, he done it. The next night, we pitched in with a pick and shovel, and in about 2 hours the job was done. We crept in under Jim's bed and into the cabin. He was so glad to see us he most cried. Tom explained his plans and everything, but Jim couldn't see no sense in the most of it, but said he'd do it anyway, just as Tom said. By and by, we borrowed a whole passel of things to smuggle into Jim, so's he could behave just like a prisoner in those books Tom Sawyer was a-reading. I got to feeling uncomfortable.
I've hunted high and I've hunted low, and it does beat all what has become of your other shirt, Silas.
It's most uncommon curious. I can't understand it. I know perfectly well I took it off because...
Because you ain't got but one on.
Yeah.
Just listen at the man. I know you took it off, and know it by a better way than your wool-gathering memory, too, because it was on the clothesline yesterday. I seen it there myself. But it's gone, and I'll have to make you a new one when I get time. It'll be the third I've made in 2 years. It just keeps a body on the jump to keep you in shirts. A body'd think you'd learn to take some sort of care of 'em at this time of your life.
I know it, Sally, and I do try all I can, but it oughtn't to be altogether my fault, 'cause, you know, I don't see 'em, nor have nothing to do with 'em except when they're on me, and I don't believe I've ever lost one off my back.
Well, it ain't your fault if you haven't, Silas. You'd have done it if you could, I reckon. And the shirt ain't all that's gone, nother. There's a spoon gone, and that ain't all.
The goat might have ate the shirt.
Yet he didn't take the spoon, that's certain.
What else is gone?
There's 6 candles gone, that's what. The rats could have got the candles, and I reckon they did. I wonder why they don't walk off with the whole place the way you're always going to stop up their holes and don't do it. Why, if those rats weren't fools, they'd sleep in your hair, Silas. You'd never find out.
Well, I won't let tomorrow go by without stopping up them holes.
Huh.
Well, they was a-going on when just then one of the slaves comes in and says that a sheet's gone off the line. And, of course, that's the one we borrowed.
A sheet gone? Well, for the land's sakes.
Oh, I'll stop up them rat holes today.
Oh, do keep quiet. You suppose the rats took the sheet?
Well, no.
I reckon the world is coming to an end. I never seed the beat of it in all my born days. A shirt, and a sheet, and a spoon, and 6 candles.
Mama, there's a brass candlestick missing.
Now clear out of here, you hussy, or I'll take a skillet to you.
Well, she was just a bilin', and I was glad I didn't have to report anything missing. I reckoned I'd sneak out and go for the woods till the weather moderated. At last, Uncle Silas, looking kind of foolish, fishes up that spoon out of his pocket where Tom had hid it. Aunt Sally stopped with her mouth open and her hands up. And as for me, I wished I was in Jerusalem or somewhere.
It's just as I expected. So you had it in your pocket all the time, and like as not, you've got the other things there, too.
I don't know how in the tarnation it got there, Sally. Honest, hey, they ain't nothing else in there.
Oh, for the land's sakes. Give a body a rest. Go along now, the whole lot of you, and don't come nigh me again till I got back my peace of mind.
I got up and obeyed her, and would have done it, too, if I'd have been dead. Tom and I went downstairs to talk over our plans.
Well, it ain't no use to smuggle things into Jim by Uncle Silas. He ain't reliable.
But he did save our skins when he stumbled onto that spoon. Aunt Sally thinks he put it there absent-minded like.
He done us a good turn, all right, without knowing it. And so we'll go and do him one without him knowing it. Let's stop up them rat holes.
We done the job tight and good and shipshape. Then we heard steps on the stairs and blowed out our light and hid. Here comes Uncle Silas with a candle in one hand and a bundle of stuff to stop up the holes in t'other, looking as absent-minded as year for a last.
Well, let's see now. I just bored up these holes and... Well, what's this? This hole's already shut up. There's no one all boarded up. For the life of me, I can't remember when I done it. Body sure can forget things.
And so he went on mumbling upstairs. He was a mighty nice old man. Tom, he was determined to fetch a spoon and smuggle it to Jim so he could scratch out some mysterious message with it. Finally, he laid out a plan, and we went upstairs to where the spoons was kept and waited for Aunt Sally, who was cool to mite. I slid one of the spoons up my sleeve.
Why, Aunt Sally, there ain't but 9 spoons yet.
Go along to your play and don't bother me. I know better. I counted them myself.
Well, I've counted them twice, Annie, and I can't make but 9.
Here, let me see. I declare to gracious, there ain't but 9. Why, what in the world? Plague take the things. I'll count them again.
So I slipped back the one I had, and when she got done counting, she says,
Hang the troublesome rubbish, there's 10 now.
Annie, I don't think there's 10.
You numbskull, didn't you see me count them?
I know, but still...
Well, I'll count them again.
So I smooched one, and they come out 9, same as t'other time. Well, she wasn't a tearing way, just a trembling all over. She was so mad. But she counted and counted the pan for a spoon. And so 3 times they come out right, and 3 times they come out wrong. Finally, she grabbed the pan and slammed it across the room and nearly killed the cat.
Oh, clear out and let me have some peace. And if you come bothering around again betwixt now and dinner, I'll skin you both.
We left all right, and Tom Loud, it was worth twice the trouble it took, 'cause he said now she couldn't ever count them spoons twice alike to save her life. And we put the sheet back on the line that night and borrowed another one out of the closet. Kept on putting it back, taking it again for a couple of days, till she didn't know how many sheets she had another. And she didn't care. I wouldn't count 'em again, not to save her life. She'd rather die first. Well, we went right along with Tom's plan to steal Jim. But it was mighty wearisome. We had to do everything by the book. We sneaked in to see Jim most every night.
You got any spiders in here, Jim?
Oh, thanks to goodness I ain't, Tom.
All right. We'll get you some.
But bless you, I don't want none. I'd just as soon have rattlesnakes around.
Hey. Why, that's a good idea. Where could you keep it?
Keep what, Tom?
Why, a rattlesnake.
No, I'm not staying here with no rattlesnake.
Oh, a prisoner's got to have some kind of dumb pet.
Pet rattlesnake?
Sure. There's more glory to be gained in your being the first to ever try it with a rattlesnake.
I don't want no such glory. No, sir. I don't want no such doings.
Well, we'll get you some rats then.
Why, I don't want no rats, nother.
But, Jim, you gotta have them. They all do. Prisoners ain't ever without rats. They train 'em and learn 'em tricks, and the rats get to be as sociable as flies.
Blessed if I can see the point. I never knowed before it was so much bother and trouble to be a prisoner.
In the morning, we took a wire rat trap and fetched it down and unstopped the best rat holes. And in about an hour, we had 15 of the bulliest rats you ever saw. Then we took the trap and put it in a safe place, under Aunt Sally's bed. But while we was looking for spiders, little Thomas Franklin Benjamin Jefferson Alexander Phelps found it and opened the door to see if the rats had come out. And they did. And Aunt Sally, she come in. And when we got back, she was a-standing on top of the bed raising Cain. And the rats was doing what they could to keep off the dull times for her. Well, she took and dusted us both with a hickory switch. And we was as much as 2 hours catching another 15 or 16 rats. And they weren't the likeliest nother, 'cause the first haul was the pick of the flock. Next, we went for the snakes and grabbed a couple dozen water snakes, put 'em in a bag, and put it in our room. By then it was supper time, and a rattling good honest day's work we'd done. And we was hungry. But when we got back upstairs, there warn't a blessed snake up there. We didn't tie the sack half tight enough, and they worked out somehow and left. But it didn't matter much, 'cause they was still on the premises, somewheres. So we judged we could get some of 'em again. No, there warn't no real scarcity of snakes about the house for a considerable spell. You'd see 'em dripping from the rafters and places every now and then. There warn't no harm in a million of 'em, but that never made no difference to Aunt Sally. And every time another one had slithered around the place, it didn't make no difference what she was doing. She just lay that work down and lied out. I never seen such a woman. And you could hear her whooping to Jericho. Well, by the end of 3 weeks, everything was in pretty good shape. But Jim's hut looked like Noah's Ark. There was so many creatures a-running around in it, and more'n 2 of each, too. Tom was having a good time, though he was pretty well tuckered out. And Jim and me was anxious to get on with the escape.
Don't get impatient, Huck. We're almost ready. The only thing left is the anonymous letters.
Huh? What's that?
Warnings. Warnings to the people that something is up. Just send 'em anonymous letters, usually.
But looky here, Tom. What do we want to warn anybody for? Let 'em find out something's up when we're gone.
After all this hard work and trouble, do we want this escape to go off perfectly flat?
Well, no.
Then we gotta do the whole thing right. Now, the anonymous letter is usually delivered by a servant girl.
Oh, we ain't got no servant girl.
We got you, Huck.
Oh.
Now you hook a frock that belongs to one of the girls and deliver the anonymous letter under the door tonight.
Well, Tom wrote the letter, and that night I dressed in a frock and shoved it under the front door, the way Tom told me to. The letter said, "Beware, trouble is brewing. Keep a sharp lookout. Unknown friend." Next night, we stuck a picture, which Tom drawed in blood, of a skull and crossbones on the front door. And the next night, another one with a coffin on it at the back door. I never see a family in such a sweat. We laid we'd free Jim that night, but long towards dark, after supper, a crowd of farmers began to gather at the place, and every one of 'em had a gun. Oh, and I figured we'd overdone this thing. Well, me and Tom went up to bed. Leastways, that's what we told them. What a thundering hornet's nest we got ourselves into.
Ain't it,
Wow.
bully? Oh, why, Huck, if it was to do over again, I bet I could fetch 200 men.
Why, these'll shoot us as well as 200. We sneaked out the window and crept down to the hut. We was just slipping out through the hole at the back of the hut with Jim when we heard the tramp of men a-comin'.
Some of you keep an eye out. They might be trying to steal away this runaway slave.
We'll lay for 'em in the cabin. The rest of you scatter around a piece and sing out if you hear anybody coming.
We crept along, not making the least noise, and slipped up to the fence. Me and Jim got over it, but Tom's britches catched on a nail, so when he pulled it loose, the tear made a noise.
What's that? Who's there? Answer or I'll shoot!
But we didn't answer. We just unfurled our heels and shoved. Then there was a lot of noise, and the bullets fairly whizzed around us.
Here they are. They broke the river. After 'em, boys, and turn loose the dog.
We got to where the canoe was hid and struck out for the middle of the river, and then made for the island where the raft was hid. Now, old Jim, you're a free man again, and I bet you won't ever be a slave no more.
And a mighty good job it was, too, Huck. It was planned beautiful, and it was done beautiful, and ain't nobody can get up a plan that's more mixed up and splendid than what that one was.
Aw, it weren't nothing, Jim.
We was all glad as we could be, but Tom was the gladdest of all, 'cause he had a bullet in the calf of his leg. When me and Jim saw that, we didn't feel as brash as what we did before. It was hurting Tom considerable and bleeding, so we laid him in the wigwam and tore up one of the Duke's shirts to bandage him.
Give me the rags. I can do it myself. Don't stop now. Don't fool around here. Set her loose.
But me and Jim was consulting and thinking. And after we'd thought a minute, Jim says,
Well, this is the way it looked to me, Huck. If it was him that is being set free, and one of the boys was to get shot, would he say, go on and save me and forget about the one who shot? Would he say that? You bet he wouldn't. Well, then, is Jim going to say it? No. I don't budge a step out of this place without a doctor. Not if it's 40 years.
I reckon Jim would say what he did say, so I told Tom I was a-going for a doctor. He raised a racket about it, but we wouldn't let Tom have his way this time. Then I took off. I got ashore, went uptown. The doctor was an old man, very nice and kind-looking. I told him me and my brother was out hunting, and he got shot by accident.
How'd he get shot, this brother of yours?
He had a dream, and it shot him.
Why, that's an amazing dream.
I mean, he kicked his gun in his dream, and it went off and shot him in the leg.
Is he hurt bad?
Well, it'll do for a wound. Well, I took the doctor down to the canoe, but he said he reckoned he'd look for a bigger one. But they was all chained and locked. So he asked me how to find my brother and told me to go home. Well, I told him. I let the doctor go alone and went back to the house, wondering what I'd tell him. When I turned the corner, wow, I nearly rammed my head into Uncle Silas' stomach.
Hey, where you been all this time, you rascal?
I ain't been nowheres, only just hunting that runaway slave.
Why, wherever'd you go? Your aunt's been mighty uneasy.
We followed the man and dogs last night, but they outrun us, and we lost them. We trudged half the night and got pretty beat, so we slept in the woods.
Well, get along in there and let your Aunt Sally see you're all right. Where's your brother?
Oh, he's at the post office.
Well, he better be getting home or he'll get a hiding from your aunt.
When I saw Aunt Sally, I told her what I told Uncle Silas, how he went down the lightning rod and both of us got hurt a little, and we didn't never want to try that no more.
Well, I forgive you. I suppose it's about what a body might expect of boys. All boys is a pretty harum-scarum lot as far as I can see. But what has become of that brother of yours?
I'll run right uptown and fetch him.
No, you won't. You'll stay right where you are. One's enough to be lost at a time.
When Tom didn't come back for supper, Uncle Silas went looking for him. He come back about 10 o'clock, a little bit uneasy, 'cause he hadn't run across Tom's tracks.
Why, laws a mercy, it's enough to fright a body sick. What has become of that boy?
Oh, boys'll be boys, Sally. You'll see this one'll turn up in the morning all sound and right.
Well, I'll sit up for him a while, and I'll keep a light burning so he can see it.
I went up to bed, hoping I could get out and see how Tom was a-doing. I calculated he was in good hands with Jim and that doctor. Still, I was a trifle nervous to see for myself. Well, pretty soon Aunt Sally come up and talked with me and tucked me in.
That Sid is such a good boy. He could have got lost or hurt or drowned.
Oh, he'll be all right, and he'll be home by morning.
I sure hope you're right. Now, the door ain't locked, and I'm going, and there's the window and the rod. But you'll be good, won't you? And you won't go for my sake.
Laws knows I wanted to go bad enough to see about Tom. I was all intending to go, but after that, I wouldn't have went not for kingdoms. But a couple of times in the night, I slipped down the rod and went around front, and see her setting there by her candle in the window with her eyes towards the road and the tears in 'em. Toward dawn, I slid down, and she was there yet, and her candle was most out, and her old gray head was resting on her hand, and she was asleep. Next morning, there was still no sign of Tom, and everybody was a-looking mournful and sad, not eating a thing at breakfast. By and by, Uncle Silas says,
Did I give you the letter?
What letter?
Why, the one I got yesterday at the post office when I was hunting that boy.
No, you didn't give me no letter.
Well, I must have forgot. Let's see, where'd I put it? Oh, here it is.
Why, it's from St. Petersburg, from Sid and Tom's ma.
Well, I did get in a sweat, thinking our little act was all up. But before she could break it open, she dropped it and run, for she seen something. Well, it was Tom Sawyer on a mattress, and that old doctor and Jim and a whole lot of people.
Oh, he's dead. He's dead. Oh, I know he's dead.
Oh, ma'am, he ain't dead. But he's hurt pretty bad.
He's alive. Oh, thank heavens.
Well, they all followed Tom into the house, and I went with the men who locked Jim up again, in the hut. They cussed Jim considerable, though, and give him a cuff or two for running away and causing all the trouble. But the doctor comes out by and by and tells them how Jim saved Tom's life.
I couldn't help that boy alone, gentlemen, and this here slave crawls from somewheres and pitches in and helps, and I never see a person that was a better nurse or faithfuler, and yet he was risking his freedom to do it, and was all tired out, too.
Well, for the next day or two, I kept out of sight. I didn't want to do any explaining about how it all happened. One morning I heard Tom was a good deal better, and Aunt Sally was taking a nap. So I slips into the sick room to talk with Tom. But he was asleep. I was a-sitting there waiting for him to wake up, when in walks Aunt Sally.
Shh. Now, don't you disturb this boy.
What? What? Why, I'm at home. Where's the raft?
It's all right, Tom.
And Jim?
He's all right, too.
Good. Splendid. Now we're all right and safe. Did you tell Auntie?
About what, Sid? What are you talking about?
Why, about the way the whole thing was done.
What whole thing?
Why, the whole thing. There ain't but one. How we set the runaway slave free, me and Tom.
Good land. Set the runaway... What is this child talking about? Oh, dear. Dear, he must be out of his head again.
No, I ain't out of my head. I know all what I'm talking about. We did set him free, me and Tom. We laid out to do it, and we done it. And we done it elegant, too.
Well, he'd got a start, and she never stopped him up. Just set and stared and stared. And 'twarn't no use for me to put in.
Why, Annie, it cost us a power of work, weeks of it. Most every night whilst you was all asleep. And we had to steal candles and the sheet and the shirt and the spoons and, oh, you can't think half the fun it was.
Mercy sakes.
And we had to load up the cabin with rats and snakes and such for company for Jim.
Oh.
And had to dig that big hole to smuggle things in and out.
Why, I declare.
And we sent the anonymous letters warning you about the escape. But stole Jim away anyway and made him a free man. And we done it all by ourselves. And oh, Auntie, wasn't it bully?
Well, I never heard the likes of it in all my born days. So it was you little rapscallions, that's been making all this trouble and scared us most to death.
But Tom, he was so proud and joyful, he just couldn't hold in. And Aunt Sally, she just a chipping in and spitting fire all along, and both of 'em going at it at once like a cat convention.
Well, you get all the enjoyment you can out of it now, 'cause when you're well, you little scamp, I'll tan the old Harry out of both of you. And if I catch you meddling with him again...
Meddling with who?
With who? With who? Why, that runaway slave, of course. Who'd you reckon?
Say, didn't you just tell me he was all right? Hasn't he got away?
Him? Him, that runaway slave? 'Deed he hasn't. He's back in the cabin loaded down with chains.
But they ain't got no right to shut him up. Don't lose a minute. Turn him loose. He ain't no slave. He's as free as anybody.
What does this child mean?
I mean every word I say, Aunt Sally. And if somebody don't go, I'll go. I've known him all his life. We both have. And old Miss Watson died 2 months ago. And she was ashamed she ever was going to sell him down the river and said so. And she set him free in her will.
Then what on earth did you want to set him free for, seeing he was already free?
Oh, well, that is a question, I must say, and just like women. What? I wanted the adventure of it.
Just then, standing right there inside the door, looking as sweet and contented as an angel half full of pie, was Tom's Aunt Polly, come down from St. Petersburg. While the two sisters was a-hugging, I went under the bed, knowing our scheme was over for good.
Why, what are you doing in that bed, Tom? Oh, dear me, Polly, is he changed so? Why, that ain't Tom. It's Sid. Tom's right over... Well, where is he? He was here a minute ago.
You mean, where's Huck Finn, that's what you mean? I reckon I know that scamp Tom Sawyer, and I think I know Huck Finn, too. Come out from under that bed, Huck.
Aunt Sally and Uncle Silas was the most mixed-uppest looking persons I ever see. But Tom's Aunt Polly set her straight and told 'em all about me and about how she knew something crazy was a-going on when she got a letter about Sid and Tom both being down here, knowing that Tom had come alone. And it was true that Miss Watson had set Jim free in her will, and so we had Jim out of chains in no time. And when everybody found out how good he helped the doctor nurse Tom, oh, they made a heap of fuss over him. Well, Tom's most well now, and he's got his bullet around his neck on a watch guard. So there ain't nothing more to tell about. And I'm rotten glad of it, Because if I'd have known what a trouble it was to tell a long story like this, I wouldn't have tackled it. But I reckon I might light out for the territory out west, 'cause Aunt Sally says she's gonna adopt me and civilize me. Oh, and I can't stand that. I've been there before. We was all aboard the raft again, Jim and me and the King and the Duke, who got away from the crowd somehow. Well, as soon as we got moving good, the King went for me and shook me by the collar.
Just where was you off to when we caught up with you, you pup? Trying to give us the slip, was you? Tired of our company, hey?
No, Your Majesty. We weren't. Please don't, Your Majesty.
Quick then, tell us, what was your idea to lighten out without us?
Honest, I'll tell you everything, just as it happened, Your Majesty. The man that had a hold of me back at the graveyard said he felt sorry for me. And when they were all took by surprise by finding the gold and made a rush for the coffin to see, he lets go of me and whispers, "Heal it now, or they'll hang you sure." Yeah, so I lit out. It didn't seem no good for me to stay. I couldn't do nothing.
Oh, yes, that's mighty likely. I ought to shake you good.
Now let go of the boy, you old idiot. Would you have done any different? Did you inquire around for him when you got loose? I don't remember it.
Cuss that town and all them people in it. Dadgummit, all that gold gone, and we reckon the slaves stole it.
Yes, we did.
Huh. Looky here, Bilgewater, what are you getting at?
Oh, let up on this cussed nonsense. You take me for a blame fool. Don't you reckon I know who hid that money in the coffin?
Of course you know, 'cause you done it yourself.
It's a lie, you old snake.
Take your hands off of me,
You own up first that you did hide that money there, plotting to go back and dig it up and have it all to yourself.
Wait just a minute, Duke. If you didn't put the money there, say it, and I'll believe you. And I'll take back everything I said.
You old scoundrel, I didn't. And you know I didn't. There now.
Well then, I believe you. Now, don't get mad, but didn't you have it in your mind to hook the money and hide it?
Well, maybe I did, but I didn't do it anyway. You not only had it in mind to do it, but you done it.
But I tell you, I didn't. I won't say I weren't gonna do it, because I was, but somebody got in ahead of me.
It's a lie. You took it, now you admit it.
Enough. I own up.
I was glad to hear him say that, you bet. Oh, it made me feel much easier than what I was feeling before. I thought sure they was going to start in on me about the money. Well, they moaned and argued about who was to blame for the whole mess. And finally, the King sneaked into the wigwam and took his bottle for comfort. And before long, the Duke tackled his jug. And so, in about half an hour, they was as thick as thieves again. They both got powerful mellow. And when they got to snoring, Jim and me had a long talk. And I told him everything. We dasn't stop again at any town for days and days. But finally, the King and Duke tackled missionarying and doctoring and telling fortunes and a little of everything. But they couldn't seem to have no luck. One day, they got their heads together in the wigwam, talking low and confidential. And Jim and me got uneasy. We decided if we ever got the least chance, we'd give 'em the cold shake and clear out and leave 'em behind, before they got us into more trouble.
This here village is Pikesville, Bilgewater. I'll go nose around town, see if anybody's got wind of the Royal Nonesuch.
Okay, I'll wait here.
Playing back by midday, you bring the boy and you come along.
Well, the Duke was surly and ornery, and I knew something was a brewing sure. When noon came, me and the Duke went up to the village. I was looking for a chance to skip out and get back to Jim, so's we could finally cut loose of those rascals. Well, We found the king in the back room of an old tavern, pretty tight, and a lot of loafers bully-ragging him for sport. Well, the Duke and King got sassing back and forth, so I lit out and spun down the river road like a deer. I got down there all out of breath, but loaded up with joy and sung out, "Set her loose, Jim! We're all right now!" Jim? Jim! Jim! But it warn't no use. Old Jim was gone. Then I sat down and cried. I couldn't help it. Well, I started up along the road, trying to think of what to do, and I run across a girl walking along. Say, you seen a strange slave around here?
Sure did.
Whereabouts?
Down to Silas Phelps's place, 2 miles below here. He's a runaway slave, but they got him. Was you looking for him?
You bet I ain't. I saw him in the woods, and he scared me near to death.
Well, you needn't be afeard no more, 'cause they got him. He run off from down south somewheres. There's $200 reward on him.
Well, who captured him?
It was an old fella, a stranger. And he sold his chance in him for $40, 'cause he said he's got to go up the river and he can't wait for the full reward. Boy, you bet I'd wait if it was 7 years.
Well, I went back to the raft and sat down in the wigwam to think. Now I knowed the king had sold Jim using them fake handbills they'd printed up about Jim so's we could travel days. After all this long journey, and after all we'd done for them scoundrels, they could serve Jim such a trick as that, and make him a slave again for life, and among strangers, too, for $40 dirty dollars. The more I studied about the trouble we was in, the more my conscience went to grinding me and reminding me how low down a boy I was. You shouldn't have been helping that runaway slave in the first place. Well, I was brung up wicked, so I wasn't so much to blame. There was the Sunday school. You could have gone to it. Well, yes, but now it's going to get around that Huck Finn helped a slave to get his freedom. Leastways, he tried to. But Jim has been my best friend. I don't care. Now you go and write a letter to Miss Watson and tell her where her runaway slave is. Well, I done it from my conscience. But then I got to thinking over our trip downriver. And I see Jim for me all the time. In the day and in the nighttime. Sometimes moonlight, sometimes storms. And we are floating along, talking and singing and laughing. Somehow, I couldn't seem to strike no place to harden me against him. But only the other kind. And then I happened to look around and see that letter. Now, you go and mail that letter to Miss Watson and report that runaway slave. Remember about the bad place. All right, then. I'll go to the bad place. Oh. Well, for a starter, I decided to go to work and steal Jim out of slavery again. I couldn't see no sense in one man owning another. Well, I took the raft out and landed on an island and hid it good. I slept there that night, and the next day I took the canoe and cleared for shore, dressed in my store clothes and the rest of my things in a bundle. I filled the canoe with water and loaded rocks into her and sunk her where I could find her again when I wanted. Then I started into town to find the Phelps place where Jim was. Well, the very first man I see when I got there was the Duke.
Well, where'd you come from? Oh, where's the raft? Got her in a good place?
Why, that's just what I was going to ask you, Your Grace.
What's your idea asking me?
Why, yesterday, when I left you and the king a-squabbling, I went a-loafing around town most of the day, and when I got back to the raft that afternoon, it was gone. I says to myself, they've got into trouble and had to leave, and they've took my raft and my slave, so I sat down and cried. Hey, what did become of the raft then? And Jim, poor Jim.
Blamed if I know. That is, what's become of the raft. We thought you'd stole it and run off down the river.
Would I run off without my slave? The only one I've got in the world? And the only property?
Well, no. Fact is, I reckon we'd come to consider him our slave. Well, we're getting ready to give the Royal Nonesuch another shake. Do you reckon that slave would rat on us?
How can he? Ain't he run off?
No. That old fool sold him and never divided with me. But the money's gone.
Sold him? Why, he was my slave, and that was my money. Where is he? I want my slave.
Well, stop your blubbering. He's gone and that's it. Say, you won't tell on us, will you? You won't if you know what's good for you.
I don't want to tell on nobody. Anyways, I gotta find my slave.
We got to be here 3 days. Now, if you'll promise you won't rat, and that your slave won't rat, I'll tell you where you find him.
I promise.
A farmer by the name of Silas... a farmer by the name of Abram G. Foster, bought him. He lives 40 mile back there in the country.
All right. I can walk it in 3 days, and I'll start this very afternoon.
No, you won't.
Huh?
You'll start now. I don't want you blabbing around town while we're here. Just keep a tight tongue in your head and move right along. You hear?
Yes, Your Grace.
So clear out. But mind you, don't work your jaw any between here and there.
So I left and struck for the back country. I went along the road as much as a mile, 'cause I felt like the Duke was a-watching me. Then I doubled back through the woods toward Phelps's. That rascal Duke wanted me trudging 40 miles so's I'd be away while he and the king done the Royal Nonesuch. I didn't want no trouble with their kind, but I wanted to get entirely shut of 'em. Still, I reckoned I'd better start in on my plan to rescue Jim. King and Duke be derned. After I got away from the Duke and doubled back through the woods, I found the Phelps place where Jim was locked up. It was one of these little one-horse cotton plantations that all look alike, just full of hounds a-sleeping in the sun. Well, I went right along, not fixing up any particular plan, but just trusting to Providence to put the right words in my mouth when the time come. When I got halfway, first one hound and then another got up and went for me. In a quarter of a minute, I was a kind of hub of a wheel with the spokes made out of dogs, maybe 15 of them, circling round me, a-barking and howling.
Hi, you stop. Get away now, quiet down. Well, it's you at last, ain't it?
Yes, it is.
You know, you don't look as much like your mother as I reckoned you would. But law sakes, I don't care for that. Come here, you children. It's your cousin Tom. Tell him howdy. Now, let's go up to the house so I can have a good look at you. We've been expecting you a couple days or more. What kept you? Boat get aground?
Yes'm, she...
Oh, don't say yes'm. Say Aunt Sally. I'm surprised you didn't meet your Uncle Silas on the road. He went up to town to fetch you not more than an hour ago.
No, I didn't see nobody, Aunt Sally.
Who'd you give your baggage to?
Nobody.
Why, child, it'll be stole. I can't figure out how Silas missed you.
I could see I was on kind of thin ice. I wanted to get the children to one side and pump 'em a little and find out who I was. The only thing I knew was I was Tom somebody. She just kept asking me questions about all sorts of people. I was just about to risk the truth and tell her who I really was when...
Ooh, here comes Silas. Get out of sight, Tom. We'll play a little joke on him. Children, now don't say a word. Oh, has he come?
Nope. I can't imagine where he is.
He must have come, and you've missed him along the road. I know it's so. Something tells me so.
Why, Sally, I couldn't have missed him along the road. I don't know what in the world to make of it. I'm afraid something's happened to the boat shore.
Why, Silas, look yonder, up the road.
Ain't that somebody coming?
He sprung to the window, and Mrs. Phelps stooped down quick at the end of the bed and give me a pull, and out I come. She stood a-beamin' and a-smilin' like a house afire, and I stood pretty meek and sweaty alongside.
Hey! Why, who's that?
Who do you reckon 'tis?
Well, I ain't no idea. Who is it?
It's Tom Sawyer.
So they took me for Tom Sawyer. By jingle, I most slumped through the floor. But there weren't time to swap knives. The old man grabbed me and hugged me and welcomed me, and both of them fired off questions about the whole family. But if they was joyful, it warn't nothing to what I was. It was like being born again. I was so glad to find out who I was. Well, we jawed for a couple of hours, and I did a pretty good job of being Tom Sawyer, too. But then I got to thinking, what if Tom should come on the next boat and see me and sing out my name before I could throw him a wink to keep quiet? Wow, so I told the folks I reckoned I'd go up to the town and fetch down my baggage. I took the wagon, and before I was halfway, sure enough, here comes Tom Sawyer. So I waited till he come along. Hold on.
I ain't never done you no harm, Huck Finn. You know that. So what do you want to come back and haunt me for?
I ain't come back. I ain't been gone.
Now, don't joke with me, Huck. Honest, you ain't a ghost?
Do I look like a ghost?
Well, I'll be ding-busted.
But, Tom, when I stumbled on this place, they thought I was you. It was the strangest coincidence ever. But now, if you come along, how are we going to explain it?
Hey, I got a plan, Huck. You take my trunk and go back and let on it's yours. I'll be along in a few minutes.
Well, I'll trust you, Tom, but there's one more thing. A thing that nobody don't know but me. And that is, there's a slave here that I'm a-trying to steal out of slavery. Old Miss Watson's Jim.
What? Why, Jim is all
I know you'll say it's dirty, low-down business, but I'm a-gonna help him get away. And I want you to keep mum and not let on, will you?
I'll help you steal him.
I'm bound to say Tom Sawyer felt considerable in my estimation. I just couldn't believe it. Tom Sawyer, a slave stealer. I went back to the Phelps with Tom's trunk and waited to see what would happen. Pretty soon, Aunt Sally looks out the window.
Why, there's somebody come. I wonder who 'tis. Looks like a stranger. Put another plate on for dinner, Liza.
Looks like a boy. Let him in, Jimmy.
Is this where Archibald Nicholas lives?
No, my boy, but come in anyway.
No, I better rush along. I do wonder how I got the wrong place.
Come right in and make yourself at home. I've already told him to put another plate on for dinner.
Well, Tom, he run on and on, making up a yarn for his Aunt Sally and Uncle Silas. And they are swallowing it whole hog, and not recognizing him since they hadn't seen him since he was a baby. And a-thinking I was Tom. He was always one for fooling people, and fooling them with style. Well, finally he reached over and kissed his Aunt Sally just like she was expecting it.
Why, you audacious puppy. What do you mean by kissing me?
Oh, well, I didn't mean nothing, ma'am. I thought you'd like it.
Well, you're a born fool, then. What made you think I'd like it?
Well, I don't know. Only they told me you would.
Whoever told you's another lunatic. Who's they?
Why, everybody. They all said so, ma'am. But I'm sorry, ma'am, and I won't do it no more, honest.
Well, I should reckon you won't.
I won't ever do it again. Till you ask me.
Till I ask you? Why, I lay you'll be the Methuselah numbskull of creation before I ask you.
Didn't you think she'd like me to kiss her, Mr. Phelps?
No, I believe I didn't.
Well, Tom went on with his fooling, and then he turns to me, and calls me Tom.
Tom, didn't you think Aunt Sally would open out her arms and say, Sid Sawyer?
Why, Sid, you impudent young rascal, to fool a body so. Oh, we weren't looking for you, too, but only Tom here.
Well, now they thought I was Tom, and Tom was Sid, Tom's older brother. And Aunt Sally went for him and was gonna hug him. But Tom, he pushed her off.
Oh, no, don't expect me to kiss you again. Not until you ask me.
Oh, well, a minute ago I didn't think I would when you up and kissed me. But I'm asking you now. Give your aunt a big hug and a kiss, you rascal.
Why, we're mighty happy to have both of you boys. You sure did fool us. Just expecting one as we was.
Well, Tom and me, we carried it off first rate, pretending to be brothers. We had a big dinner that night, and there was things enough on that table for 7 families, and all hot, too. Well, after supper, one of the boys asked his pa if we could go uptown to the show, meaning the Royal Nonesuch.
Nope, I reckon there ain't gonna be any.
Well, how come, Uncle Silas?
Well, that runaway slave, he told me and my neighbor all about that scandalous show. My neighbor went off to tell the people, so I reckon they drove them loafers out of town by now.
Well, coming down the road was a raging rush of people with torches, making a tremendous racket. Then I see the king and duke a-straddle of a rail. That is, I knowed it was the king and the duke, though they was all over tar and feathers, and didn't look like nothing in the world that was human. Just looked like a couple of monstrous, sick ostriches. It made me sick to see it, and I was kind of sorry for them poor, pitiful rascals, even if they had been awful mean to poor Jim. But it seemed like I couldn't ever feel any hardness against them anymore. It was a dreadful thing to see them now. Human beings can be awful cruel to one another. Well, the next morning, we decided to start working on a plan to free Jim.
Looky here, Huck. I bet I know where they got Jim locked away.
Where?
In that hut over behind the barn. When we was at dinner, didn't you see one of the slaves go down there with some victuals?
Why, sure. But weren't they for one of the dogs?
Would they keep a padlock on the door for a dog, Huck? A lock means a prisoner. And Jim's the prisoner, or I'm a low-down, no-good detective. Now, let's each think of a plan to steal Jim, and we'll take the one we like the best.
Okay. Let's see.
Well, what's your plan?
Well, if Jim's in there, we can sneak the key out of your uncle's pocket when he goes to bed. Fetch the canoe that I hid down in the river, and when we get Jim out, we light out for the raft with him, hiding daytimes and running nights the way we used to. Wouldn't that plan work?
Work? Why, of course it'd work. Like rats a-fighting. But it's too blame simple.
Oh.
There ain't nothing to it. Why, Huck, it wouldn't make no more talk than breaking into a soap factory.
Well, let's hear your plan, Tom.
Now, this is a real adventure. It's gotta be mysterious and troublesome and good. Why, how often you gonna get to steal a slave? Now, here's what we're gonna do.
Well, the next day we asked the slave that was a-feeding Jim if we could go with him and take the prisoner his food. He let us, and when Jim saw us, he could hardly keep it to himself.
Why, Huck.
Shh! Don't let Anya know us, Jim.
And good land, ain't that Mr. Tom?
Don't ever let on you know us, Jim. And if you hear any digging going on at nights, it's only us. We're gonna set you free.
Well, next day we set to work to free Jim. But Tom Sawyer weren't happy.
Blame it, Huck. This whole thing is just as easy and as awkward as it can be. And so it makes it rotten difficult to get up a difficult plan. There ain't no watchman to be drugged,
Now, there ought to be a watchman.
But Jim's chained to the leg of the bed.
Yeah, but all you gotta do is to lift up the bedstead and slip off the chain. Why, drat it, Huck, it's the stupidest arrangement I ever see. We got to invent all the difficulties. Now, how should we make a saw?
Well, what do you want to make a saw for?
What do we want a saw for? Ain't we got to saw the leg of Jim's bed off so's he can get the chain loose?
Why, you just said a body could lift up the bed and slip the chain off the leg.
Well, if that ain't just like you, Huck Finn.
Huh?
Who ever heard of getting a prisoner loose in such an old matey way as that? No, we gotta saw the bed leg in two, and then swallow the sawdust so it can't be found. Yuck! I wish there was a moat to this cabin. If we get time, the night of the escape, we'll dig one.
What do we want with a moat when we're going to snake 'em out from under the cabin?
'Cause there's more honor in getting 'em out through a lot of difficulties and dangers. Now, we gotta smuggle Jim a ladder.
A ladder?
We can tear up our sheets and make him a rope ladder easy. Then we can send it to him in a pie. It's mostly done that way.
I've had worse pies, but hang it, Tom Sawyer, Jim ain't got no use for a rope ladder.
He has got use for it.
Oh.
All prisoners do. He's gotta have a rope ladder.
Well, what in the tarnation can he do with it?
Do with it? He can hide it in his bed, can't he? And suppose he don't use it? Well, ain't it there in his bed for a clue after he's gone?
Well, all right. But we better borrow a sheet off the clothesline instead of using our own.
Yeah. Borrow a shirt, too.
Well, what do you want with a shirt?
Want it for Jim to keep a journal on.
Journal your granny. Jim can't write.
Suppose he can't write. He can make marks on the shirt, can't he? Sometimes prisoners write mysterious messages on the bottom of a tin plate with a fork and throw it out of the window.
Well, Jim ain't got no tin plates.
We can get him some.
But nobody'll be able to read the notes.
That ain't got anything to do with it. You don't have to be able to read it. Why, half the time you can't read anything a prisoner writes on a tin plate or anywhere else.
Well, then, what's the sense in wasting the plates?
Why, blame it all, Huck. It ain't the prisoner's plate.
But it's somebody's plates, ain't it?
What does the prisoner care whose plates they are?
Oh.
Huck is at last free from the king and the duke, but the two rogues have betrayed Jim, who is locked up at a farmhouse as a runaway slave. The farm, by coincidence, is owned by Tom Sawyer's aunt and uncle, and Tom and Huck have set out to free Jim according to Tom's elaborate and romantic scheme. Here, then, is the concluding episode of Huckleberry Finn.
Finally, we smooched a sheet and a shirt off the clothesline and laid out our plans to free Jim. Tom said we should fetch some tools to dig with, so I found some old crippled picks and shovels. But Tom thought they was modern conveniences, and not at all what a prisoner would have in his wardrobe. The next night, we pitched in with a pick and shovel, and in about 2 hours the job was done. We crept in under Jim's bed and into the cabin. He was so glad to see us he most cried. By and by, we borrowed a whole passel of things to smuggle into Jim, so's he could behave just like a prisoner in those books Tom Sawyer was a-reading. I got to feeling uncomfortable.
I've hunted high and I've hunted low, and it does beat all what has become of your other shirt, Silas.
It's most uncommon curious. I can't understand it. I know perfectly well I took it off because...
Because you ain't got but one on.
Yeah.
Just listen at the man. I know you took it off, and know it by a better way than your wool-gathering memory, too, because it was on the clothesline yesterday. I seen it there myself. But it's gone, and I'll have to make you a new one when I get time. It'll be the third I've made in 2 years. It just keeps a body on the jump to keep you in shirts. A body'd think you'd learn to take some sort of care of 'em at this time of your life.
I know it, Sally, and I do try all I can, but it oughtn't to be altogether my fault, 'cause
You know, I don't see 'em nor have nothing to do with 'em except when they're on me, and I don't believe I've ever lost one off my back.
Well, it ain't your fault if you haven't, Silas. You'd have done it if you could, I reckon. And the shirt ain't all that's gone, nother. There's a spoon gone, and that ain't all.
The goat might have ate the shirt.
Yet he didn't take the spoon, that's certain.
What else is gone?
There's 6 candles gone, that's what. The rats could have got the candles, and I reckon they did. I wonder why they don't walk off with the whole place the way you're always going to stop up their holes and don't do it. Why, if those rats weren't fools, they'd sleep in your hair, Silas. You'd never find out.
Well, I won't let tomorrow go by without stopping up them holes.
Huh.
Well, they was a-going on when just then one of the slaves comes in and says that a sheet's gone off the line. And of course, that's the one we borrowed.
A sheet gone? Well, for the land's sakes.
Oh, I'll stop up them rat holes today.
Oh, do keep quiet. You suppose the rats took the sheet?
Well, no.
I reckon the world is coming to an end. I never seed the beat of it in all my born days.
At last, Uncle Silas, looking kind of foolish, fishes up that spoon out of his pocket where Tom had hid it. Aunt Sally stopped with her mouth open and her hands up. And as for me, I wished I was in Jerusalem or somewhere.
It's just as I expected. So you had it in your pocket all the time, and like as not, you've got the other things there, too.
I don't know how in the tarnation it got there, Sally. Honest, hey, they ain't nothing else in there.
Oh, for the land's sakes. Give a body a rest. Go along now, the whole lot of you, and don't come nigh me again till I got back my peace of mind.
I got up and obeyed her, and would have done it, too, if I'd have been dead. Tom and I went downstairs to talk over our plans.
Well, it ain't no use to smuggle things into Jim by Uncle Silas. He ain't reliable.
But he did save our skins when he stumbled onto that spoon. Aunt Sally thinks he put it there absent-minded-like.
He done us a good turn, all right, without knowing it. And so we'll go and do him one without him knowing it. Let's stop up them rat holes.
We done the job tight and good and shipshape. Then we heard steps on the stairs and blowed out our light and hid. Here comes Uncle Silas with a candle in one hand and a bundle of stuff to stop up the holes in t'other, looking as absent-minded as year for last.
Well, let's see now. I just bored up these holes and... Well, what's this? This hole's already shut up. Here's another one all boarded up. For the life of me, I can't remember when I done it. Body sure can forget things.
And so he went on mumbling upstairs. He was a mighty nice old man. Tom, he was determined to fetch a spoon and smuggle it to Jim so we could scratch out some mysterious message with it. Finally, he laid out a plan, and we went upstairs to where the spoons was kept and waited for Aunt Sally, who was cool to mite. I slid one of the spoons up my sleeve.
Why, Aunt Sally, there ain't but 9 spoons yet.
Go along to your play and don't bother me. I'm no better. I counted them myself.
Well, I've counted them twice, Annie, and I can't make but 9.
Here, let me see. I declare to gracious, there ain't but 9. Why, what in the world? Plague take the things. I'll count them again.
So I slipped back the one I had, and when she got done counting, she says,
Hang the troublesome rubbish, there's 10 now.
Annie, I don't think there's 10.
You numbskull, didn't you see me count them?
I know, but still...
Well, I'll count them again.
So I smooched one, and they come out 9, same as t'other time. Well, she wasn't a tearing way, just a trembling all over. She was so mad. But she counted and counted the pan for a spoon. And so 3 times they come out right, and 3 times they come out wrong. Finally, she grabbed the pan and slammed it across the room and nearly killed the cat.
Oh! Clear out and let me have some peace. And if you come bothering around again betwixt now and dinner, I'll skin you both.
We left all right, and Tom 'lowed it was worth twice the trouble it took 'cause he said now she couldn't ever count them spoons twice alike to save her life. And we put the sheet back on the line that night and borrowed another one out of the closet. Kept on putting it back, taking it again for a couple of days, till she didn't know how many sheets she had another. And she didn't care. I wouldn't count 'em again, not to save her life. She'd rather die first. Well, we went right along with Tom's plan to steal Jim. But it was mighty wearisome. We had to do everything by the book. We sneaked in to see Jim most every night.
You got any spiders in here, Jim?
No, thanks to goodness I ain't, Tom.
All right. We'll get you some.
But bless you, I don't want none. I'd just as soon have rattlesnakes around.
Hey. Why, that's a good idea. Where could you keep it?
Keep what, Tom?
Why, a rattlesnake.
No, I'm not staying here with no rattlesnake.
Oh, a prisoner's got to have some kind of dumb pet.
Pet rattlesnake?
Sure. There's more glory to be gained in your being the first to ever try it with a rattlesnake.
I don't want no such glory. No, sir. I don't want no such doings.
Well, we'll get you some rats then.
Why, I don't want no rats, nother.
But, Jim, you gotta have 'em. They all do. Prisoners ain't ever without rats. They train 'em and learn 'em tricks, and the rats get to be as sociable as flies.
Bless it if I can see the point. I never knowed before it was so much bother and trouble to be a prisoner.
Well, by the end of 3 weeks, everything was in pretty good shape. But Jim's hut looked like Noah's Ark. There was so many creatures running around in it, and more'n 2 of each, too. Tom was having a good time, though he was pretty well tuckered out. And Jim and me was anxious to get on with the escape.
Don't get impatient, Huck. We're almost ready. The only thing left is the anonymous letters.
Huh? What's that?
Warnings. Warnings to the people that something is up. You send 'em anonymous letters, usually.
But looky here, Tom. What do we want to warn anybody for? Let 'em find out something's up when we're gone.
After all this hard work and trouble, do we want this escape to go off perfectly flat?
Well, no.
Then we gotta do the whole thing right. Now, the anonymous letter is usually delivered by a servant girl.
Oh, we ain't got no servant girl.
We got you, Huck.
Oh.
Now you hook a frock that belongs to one of the girls and deliver the anonymous letter under the door tonight.
Well, Tom wrote the letter, and that night I dressed in a frock and shoved it under the front door, the way Tom told me to. The letter said, "Beware, trouble is brewing. Keep a sharp lookout. Unknown friend." Next night, we stuck a picture, which Tom drawed in blood, of a skull and crossbones on the front door. And the next night, another one with a coffin on it at the back door. I never see a family in such a sweat. We laid we'd free Jim that night, but long towards dark, after supper, a crowd of farmers began to gather at the place, and every one of 'em had a gun. Oh, and I figured we'd overdone this thing.
Oh, why, Huck, if it was to do over again, I bet I could fetch 200 men.
Why, these'll shoot us as well as 200. We sneaked out the window and crept down to the hut. We was just slipping out through the hole at the back of the hut with Jim when we heard the tramp of men a-comin'.
Some of you keep an eye out. They might be trying to steal away this runaway slave.
We'll lay for 'em in a cabin. The rest of you scatter around a piece and sing out if you hear anybody coming.
We crept along, not making the least noise, and slipped up to the fence. Me and Jim got over it, but Tom's britches catched on a nail, so when he pulled it loose, the tear made a noise.
What's that? Who's there? Answer or I'll shoot!
But we didn't answer. We just unfurled our heels and shoved. Then there was a lot of noise, and the bullets fairly whizzed around us.
Here they are! They broke the river! After them, boys, and turn loose the dog!
We got to where the canoe was hid and struck out for the middle of the river, and then made for the island where the raft was hid. Now, old Jim, you're a free man again, and I bet you won't ever be a slave no more.
And a mighty good job it was, too, Huck. It was planned beautiful, and it was done beautiful, and ain't nobody can get up a plan that's more mixed up and splendid than what that one was.
It weren't nothing, Jim.
We was all glad as we could be. But Tom was the gladdest of all, 'cause he had a bullet in the calf of his leg. When me and Jim saw that, we didn't feel as brash as what we did before. It was hurting Tom considerable and bleeding. So we laid him in the wigwam and tore up one of the Duke's shirts to bandage him.
Give me the rags. I can do it myself. Don't stop now. Don't fool around here. Set her loose.
But me and Jim was consulting and thinking. And after we'd thought a minute, Jim says,
Well, this is the way it looked to me, Huck. If it was him that is being set free, and one of the boys was to get shot, would he say, go on and save me and forget about the one who shot? Would he say that? You bet he would. Well, then, is Jim going to say it? No. I don't budge a step out of this place without a doctor. Not if it's 40 years.
I reckon Jim'd say what he did say, so I told Tom I was a-going for a doctor. He raised our racket about it, but we wouldn't let Tom have his way this time. Then I took off. I got ashore, went uptown. The doctor was an old man, very nice and kind-looking. I told him me and my brother was out hunting, and he got shot by accident.
How'd he get shot, this brother of yours?
He had a dream, and it shot him.
Why, that's an amazing dream.
I mean, he kicked his gun in his dream, and it went off and shot him in the leg.
Is he hurt bad?
Well, it'll do for a wound. Well, I took the doctor down to the canoe, but he said he reckoned he'd look for a bigger one. But they was all chained and locked. So he asked me how to find my brother and told me to go home. Well, I told him. I let the doctor go alone and went back to the house, wondering what I'd tell him. When I turned the corner, wow, I nearly rammed my head into Uncle Silas' stomach.
Hey, where you been all this time, you rascal?
I ain't been nowheres, only just hunting that runaway slave.
Why, wherever'd you go? Your aunt's been mighty uneasy.
We followed the man and dogs last night, but they outrun us, and we lost them. We trudged half the night and got pretty beat, so we slept in the woods.
Well, get along in there and let your Aunt Sally see you're all right. Where's your brother?
He's at the post office.
Well, he better be getting home, or he'll get a hiding from your aunt.
When I saw Aunt Sally, I told her what I told Uncle Silas, how he went down the lightning rod and both of us got hurt a little, and we didn't never want to try that no more.
Well, I forgive you. I suppose it's about what a body might expect of boys. All boys is a pretty harum-scarum lot as far as I can see. But what has become of that brother of yours?
I'll run right uptown and fetch him.
No, you won't. You'll stay right where you are. One's enough to be lost at a time.
When Tom didn't come back for supper, Uncle Silas went looking for him. He come back about 10 o'clock, a little bit uneasy, 'cause he hadn't run across Tom's tracks.
Why, laws a mercy, it's enough to fright a body sick. What has become of that boy?
Oh, boys'll be boys, Sally. You'll see this and it'll turn up in the morning all sound and right.
Well, I'll sit up for him a while, and I'll keep a light burning so he can see it.
I went up to bed, hoping I could get out and see how Tom was a-doing. I calculated he was in good hands with Jim and that doctor. Still, I was a trifle nervous to see for myself. Well, pretty soon Aunt Sally come up and talked with me and tucked me in.
That Sid is such a good boy. He could have got lost or hurt or drowned.
Oh, he'll be all right. He'll be home by morning.
I sure hope you're right. Now the door ain't locked, and I'm going, and there's the window and the rod. But you'll be good, won't you? And you won't go for my sake.
Laws knows I wanted to go bad enough to see about Tom. I was all intending to go, but after that, I wouldn't have went not for kingdoms. But a couple of times in the night, I slipped down the rod and went around front, and see her setting there by her candle in the window with her eyes towards the road and the tears in 'em. Toward dawn, I slid down, and she was there yet, and her candle was most out, and her old gray head was resting on her hand, and she was asleep. Next morning, there was still no sign of Tom, and everybody was a-looking mournful and sad, not eating a thing at breakfast. By and by, Uncle Silas says,
Did I give you the letter?
What letter?
Well, the one I got yesterday at the post office when I was hunting that boy.
No, you didn't give me no letter.
Well, I must have forgot. Let's see, where'd I put it? Oh, here it is.
Why, it's from St. Petersburg, from Sid and Tom's ma.
Well, I did get in a sweat, thinking our little act was all up. But before she could break it open, she dropped it and run, for she seen something. Well, it was Tom Sawyer on a mattress, and that old doctor and Jim and a whole lot of people.
Oh, he's dead. He's dead. Oh, I know he's dead.
He's dead. He's hurt pretty bad.
He's alive. Oh, thank heavens.
Well, they all followed Tom into the house, and I went with the men who locked Jim up again, in the hut. They cussed Jim considerable, though, and give him a cuff or two for running away and causing all the trouble. But the doctor comes out by and by and tells them how Jim saved Tom's life.
I couldn't help that boy alone, gentlemen, and this here slave crawls from somewheres and pitches in and helps. And I never see a person that was a better nurse or faithfuler, and yet he was risking his freedom to do it, and was all tired out, too.
Well, for the next day or two, I kept out of sight. I didn't want to do any explaining about how it all happened. One morning I heard Tom was a good deal better, and Aunt Sally was taking a nap. So I slips into the sick room to talk with Tom. But he was asleep. I was a-sitting there waiting for him to wake up, when in walks Aunt Sally.
Shh. Now don't you disturb this boy.
What? What? Why, I'm at home. Where's the raft?
It's all right, Tom.
And Jim?
He's all right, too.
Good. Splendid. Now we're all right and safe. Did you tell Auntie?
About what, Sid? What are you talking about?
Why, about the way the whole thing was done.
What whole thing?
Why, the whole thing. There ain't but one. How we set the runaway slave free, me and Tom.
Good land. Set the runaway... What is this child talking about? Oh, dear. Dear, he must be out of his head again.
No. Why, Annie, it cost us a power of work, weeks of it. Most every night whilst you was all asleep. And we had to steal candles and the sheet and the shirt and the spoons and, oh, you can't think half the fun it was.
Mercy sakes.
And we had to load up the cabin with rats and snakes and such for company for Jim.
Oh.
And had to dig that big hole to smuggle things in and out.
Why, I declare.
And we sent anonymous letters warning you about the escape. But stole Jim away anyway and made him a free man. And we done it all by ourselves. And oh, Auntie, wasn't it bully?
Well, I never heard the likes of it in all my born days. So it was you little rapscallions, that's been making all this trouble and scared us most to death. Well, you get all the enjoyment you can out of it now, 'cause when you're well, you little scamp, I'll tan the old Harry out of both both of you. And if I catch you meddling with him again...
Meddling with who?
With who? With who? Why, that runaway slave, of course. Who'd you reckon?
Say, didn't you just tell me he was all right? Hasn't he got away?
Him? Him, that runaway slave? Deed, he hasn't. He's back in the cabin loaded down with chains.
But they ain't got no right to shut him up. Don't lose a minute. Turn him loose. He ain't no slave. He's as free as anybody.
What does this child mean?
I mean every word I say, Aunt Sally. And if somebody don't go, I'll go. I've known him all his life. We both have. And old Miss Watson died 2 months ago. And she was ashamed she ever was going to sell him down the river and said so. And she set him free in her will.
Then what on earth did you want to set him free for, seeing he was already free?
Oh, well, that is a question, I must say, and just like women. What? I wanted the adventure of it. Just then, standing right there inside the door, looking as sweet and contented as an angel half full of pie, was Tom's Aunt Polly, come down from St. Petersburg. While the two sisters was a-hugging, I went under the bed, knowing our scheme was over for good.
Why, what are you doing in that bed, Tom? Oh, dear me, Polly, is he changed so? Why, that ain't Tom. It's Sid. Tom's right over... Well, where is he? He was here a minute ago. You mean, where's Huck Finn? That's what you mean. I reckon I know that scamp Tom Sawyer, and I think I know Huck Finn, too. Come out from under that bed, Huck.
Aunt Sally and Uncle Silas was the most mixed-uppest looking persons I ever see. But Tom's Aunt Polly set her straight and told 'em all about me and about how she knew something crazy was a-going on when she got a letter about Sid and Tom both being down here, knowing that Tom had come alone. And it was true that Miss Watson had set Jim free in her will, and so we had Jim out of chains in no time. And when everybody found out how good he helped the doctor nurse Tom, oh, they made a heap of fuss over him. Well, Tom's most well now, and he's got his bullet around his neck on a watch guard. So there ain't nothing more to tell about. And I'm rotten glad of it, because if I'd have known what a trouble it was to tell a long story like this, I wouldn't have tackled it. But I reckon I might light out for the territory out west, 'cause Aunt Sally says she's gonna adopt me and civilize me. Oh, and I can't stand that. I've been there before.
You've been listening to Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, the concluding episode in this 6-part series adapted for radio by Bob Lewis and featuring Lou Bliss as Huck, Chris Brooks as Jim, Lynn Preisler as Tom, Rick Cimino as Uncle Silas, and Faye DeWitt as Aunt Sally. The Mind's Eye is produced and copyrighted by Radio 2000 for this subscribing station.